significantly in an instant, reminiscent of the benefactor who once aided him. Yet, in the blink of an eye, he appeared to still be that gentle youth. Perhaps it was merely an illusion. Secretary de Kong glanced at Zheng Cheng, who promptly retreated, smiling. Secretary de Kong, boss Yi, I must excuse myself to use the restroom. Once Zheng Cheng departed, Secretary de Kong hesitated briefly, then spoke with a hint of reticence. The individuals truly wishing to collaborate with you are the Jinghai Police Department and Academician Yang from Lonka Institute. Yi Bai was taken aback and replied in astonishment. Is it possible that my modified vehicles have garnered the attention of an academician? I cannot say for certain, but they are indeed quite interested in your modifications. Secretary de Kong responded. After a moment of contemplation, Yi Bai stated, collaboration with Lonka Institute is acceptable, but with the police department, I must decline. Oh. Secretary de Kong inquired with curiosity, what is the reasoning behind that? Yi Bai chuckled lightly. It is not so much a reasoning as it is a matter of practicality. Nowadays, whether it be the poker player adept at swatting flies or the locksmith who can open a lock in 3 seconds, all must register with the police. I possess a unique skill set, and for now, I prefer not to be under police scrutiny. No, not scrutiny. Rather, the police are simply unprofessional. Technical matters fall under the expertise of Lonka Institute. Their oversight would be more appropriate. Secretary de Kong nodded gravely. Yi Bai self-deprecatingly laughed. You are correct, Secretary de Kong. I have indeed conflated the concepts. Every citizen must be subject to police oversight, just as the police are accountable to the public. Much like freedom of speech. There is no absolute freedom, only relative freedom, constrained by law and ethics. If given the chance, he yearned to break free from all constraints. But the prerequisite was to develop sufficient strength. One person could stand against a nation. Only then could he embrace patriotism in his own way and realize his aspirations. Fortunately, that goal was not far off. At that moment, Secretary de Kong suddenly circled around Yi Bai, returning to his original position, exclaiming in surprise. I never expected that at just 18 years of age, you would possess such profound understanding and maturity, despite being born into affluence. Truly a rarity. Yi Bai replied with a smile. All right, Secretary de Kong, no need to flatter me. Compared to flattery and deceit, I much prefer straightforwardness. Since we are being candid, I shall be forthright. The reason for my initial refusals was indeed my annoyance at your 2 previous dismissals. However, I believe we can turn a new leaf. Secretary de Kang's eyes brightened, and he quickly responded, I concede that I have been overly brash in my dealings. I shall amend that in the future. Simultaneously, I hope that together we can govern Huadu more effectively. During the summer vacation and whenever I return from the capital, I will dedicate time to help develop my hometown of Huadu, Yi Bai remarked with a frown. Secretary de Kong, with a mysterious smile, replied. We could also collaborate on governance in the capital. Yi Bai was taken aback. Could it be that you are aspiring to become the Secretary of Jinghai? No, surely not. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. However, Secretary de Kong, the Guadu Fire Department and Transportation Department just placed an order for 3 million. For Huadu, please adhere to the standard. 3 million? Secretary de Kong was flabbergasted. He could solicit a sponsorship of 3 million without batting an eye. But to allocate 3 million for vehicle modifications, that was public funds. Such a sum was not easily obtainable. The financial strain would be immense. Secretary de Kong, exercise discretion in your endeavors. Moreover, I must procure materials and equipment to expedite the work. I shall take my leave now. Good day. Yi Bai waved his hand and returned to the repair shop, leaving Secretary de Kong alone, nursing a headache. At the Southern Military District Command, Long Hantian stood at the entrance, exclaiming, Commander Peng, why have you not approved Yi Bai's applications for 2 first-class merits? His contributions in drug enforcement and disaster relief have been indelible. I cannot fathom your reasoning for disheartening a well-meaning citizen. At that moment, the command door swung open with a bang. A short-statured elder with heavy eye bags, yet an invigorated demeanor emerged. He was none other than the commander of the Southern Military District, Peng Zhongyuan. With a piercing gaze, Peng Zhongyuan glared at Long Hantian, sternly admonishing, Long Hantian, you are the commander of a group army. Which military discipline permits you to shout like that in front of the command office? I come in. Peng Zhongyuan snapped, fixing Long Hantian with a glare for a moment before turning to re-enter the command office. Long Hantian's expression darkened as he snorted softly and swiftly followed him inside. Chapter 57. We must not dishearten our brothers in agriculture and industry. Inside the command office, Peng Zhongyuan approached the electronic sand table, his hands clasped behind his back. As he observed the movements of the Eagle Sauce aircraft carrier battle group in the southern waters, he remarked, from now on, no matter the circumstances, There shall be no loud commotion outside the command department. Otherwise, even if you are Long Lao's son, I will still refer you to a military tribunal. Long Hantian, feeling helpless, pouted and frowned. Commander Pang, why won't you approve? An 18-year-old boy utilizing technology for drug enforcement and disaster relief. Isn't that impressive? But doesn't this scene seem familiar to you? Pang Zhongyuan retorted, familiar? In what way? Like a Hollywood blockbuster from Eagle Sauce. A pinnacle of individual heroism. A quintessential representation of Western ideology and thought. But in our dragon country, individual heroism is not the mainstream. Each of us can be a hero. Yi Bai is a hero. Does that mean the soldiers fighting bravely on the front lines are not heroes? What about the common people who toil silently in logistics? Are they not heroes as well? Pang Zhongyuan exclaimed. Long Hantian was momentarily taken aback, stammering, they are all heroes, that is true, but Yi Bai stands out among them. Suddenly, Long Hantian added, if you speak of individual heroism, then why does our national military god, who single-handedly took down 500 enemy soldiers, earn first-class merit, and even receive special honors adorning his chest? Pang Zhongyuan blinked, momentarily unsure how to counter this point. Long Hantian, growing frustrated, said, Commander Pang, you are deliberately withholding approval. Today, even if I am sent to a military tribunal over this trivial matter, I demand an explanation from you. Pang Zhongyuan felt a surge of anger, yet he found it difficult to refute Long Hantian's claims. He quickly strode to a filing cabinet, retrieved a document, untied the string, and opened the unsealed file, slapping it onto the sand table. Look at this before you decide whether to grant it. With a scoff, Long Hantian grabbed the file to examine it. The more he read, the more his anger subsided, until eventually, he was subdued. Noticing this, Pang Zhongyuan said with a slight irritation, my subordinate risked his life to earn that first-class merit. Why should I withhold it from him? Furthermore, consider the circumstances of his family compared to Yi Bai's. Doesn't he deserve this first-class merit even more than Yi Bai? How do you think our workers and farmers will perceive this? How will the impoverished citizens react? We must not forget our roots. And we cannot let our brothers in labor feel disheartened. Long Hantian, now troubled, closed the document and pondered for a moment, still insisting, but Commander Pang, throughout history, our nation has also had loyal and honorable sons. Take, for instance, the first batch of pilots during modern times, when the country was impoverished and suffered invasion and humiliation. Did they not risk their lives, flying fighter jets to engage in fierce battles against the enemy, vowing to defend our airspace? I believe that when the nation faces war or life-and-death crises, Yi Bai is precisely the kind of honorable youth who would sacrifice himself for the country. Long Hantian asserted firmly. Pang Zhongyuan stared at Long Hantian, nearly laughing in exasperation. If war were to break out, how many would rush to the battlefield? Even if honorable youths were lining up, it would be my son or yours first. Would there be a place for him? Commander Pang, what I'm saying is that Yi Bai's background is impeccable. This is not about individual heroism. If you are worried about public opinion, then simply refrain from publicizing it. Long Hantian exclaimed, raising his hands in surrender. Pang Zhongyuan frowned slightly, knowing that while publicity was necessary, he wouldn't send out a text message. After all, he was not a government official. However, local recruitment offices and leaders would still present plaques to those who earned first-class merit. They deserve their due recognition, albeit not to the highest degree. Indeed, I would prefer it this way. After all, Yi Bai has been involved in drug enforcement, and those drug dealers are a band of desperate criminals. Publicizing his drug enforcement efforts could lead to unintended consequences. Long Hantian nodded and said, if there's nothing further, Commander Pang, I shall take my leave. Not so fast. Pang Zhongyuan continued to observe the sand table as he extended his hand. First, reduce the area in front of the command department. Long Hantian looked bewildered. What are you standing there for? 30 pounds of introspection or 30 days of cleaning? You must choose one. Commander Pang, I am, after all, the dignified commander of a group army. The youngest major general in Dragon Country. Long Hantian protested, his face reflecting his grievance. And so what? What of being a major general? If you do not adhere to military discipline and regulations, do you think you are Li Yunlong? Even Li Yunlong must take responsibility and obey orders. Now go. Hurry. Pang Zhongyuan said, delivering a few kicks towards Long Hantian. Hey, ouch, oh no. Long Hantian was left speechless. Yet he had no choice but to take a broom and sweep the ground outside the command department. At that moment, a bespectacled soldier approached, and, upon seeing Long Hantian, chuckled, Old Long, are you sweeping again? What do you mean again? Previously, I was inside. This time, I am outside. It's not the same. You cannot generalize. Long Hantian replied. His face flushed with embarrassment. The soldier burst out laughing, unable to contain himself, and after a good while, he said, "The funds you requested for the Guilin Fire Department have been processed." Zheng Cheng replied that the vehicles have been ordered, and we are just waiting for delivery. By the way, what kind of vehicle could possibly make you spend military funds for procurement, especially civilian ones? Long Hantian stopped sweeping, puffed out his chest, and replied proudly, "Old Zhao, just wait and see. Once the vehicles arrive at Lonka Institute for Research, our 32nd Group Army will undoubtedly match other group armies in terms of weaponry and equipment. Who knows, when the nation is unified, we might even be the first to advance." The soldier, Old Zhao, could not help but show a hint of shock and excitement on his face. At the Yinshao Auto Repair Factory, Yibai had a large array of equipment and materials neatly arranged in the open space. His next task was to modify the 5 iron horses brought over by the Guilin Traffic Police into the Qian Dragon Riders. However, a problem arose. If he used the Qian Dragon Riders plan, it would not count towards the system upgrade task. If he made minor modifications, given that they were originally E-grade, he would not meet the conditions for upgrading to E-grade either. If he made major alterations, it would no longer be a Qian Dragon Rider, and the Guilin Traffic Police would reject the delivery, which would lead to disaster. Thus, Yibai was left with no choice but to tearfully seek a subcontractor, spending 50,000 yuan to have the factory workers complete the modifications while he retained control over the installation of key equipment and technology. The subsequent arrival of the 100-ton trucks was similarly handled. Everything was subcontracted out. Ultimately, it took just 1 week to complete the entire delivery. With the final payment of 2 million yuan received, the shock value in the system account even reached an impressive 3 million. Yet, Yibai found no joy in this. For the system upgrade task, he needed to modify and upgrade new vehicles. Ideally, they should be distinct. If we assume one vehicle equates to 1 million shock value, the basic version would only yield enough for 3 vehicles at 300 million. While the current progress stood at 310 million, meaning that after spending the 300 million shock value, he would still need at least 400 million. The shock value was incredibly scarce. Chapter 58, Modifying Firefighting Vehicles with High Efficiency and Safety Requirements. The best way to acquire shock value remained through live streaming. However, live streaming alone felt too taxing, primarily because he lacked operational expertise, and he wondered if Sun Ling had arrived yet. A few days ago, Master Sun mentioned that his daughter had come. Surely she wouldn't miss out on this opportunity? As Yibai opened the SSOB job postings for live streaming assistants, he walked towards the door, only to realize after some time that as the employer, he needed to view the employer's interface, not the job seekers. At that moment, a rustling sound caught his attention. Looking up, he was taken aback to see a charming young girl. Her chestnut hair was styled into a fluffy bun, with a few rebellious strands sticking out. She held a bamboo broom, diligently sweeping the fallen leaves from the ground. Despite wearing long blue jeans and a light pink sun protection jacket, her tall stature and striking beauty were impossible to conceal. In appearance, she was undoubtedly Sun Ling, just like in the photograph. But why was she here sweeping the floor? Upon hearing footsteps from inside, Sun Ling hurriedly held her broom and bowed at a 90-degree angle, exclaiming, "Hello, boss. I am Sun Ling, your summer intern." Observing her timid demeanor, Yibai chuckled, "I am paying you 10,000 a month. And it's not just for sweeping the floor." 10,000. Sun Ling was astonished, questioning whether she had misheard. Yibai approached her, seized the broom from her hands, and tossed it aside. Grasping her hand, he pulled her into the auto repair shop, saying, "With my daily business in the hundreds of thousands, I must offer such a high salary. Otherwise, why would you toil for me?" Hundreds of thousands? Sun Ling gazed at the shabby repair shop, disbelief etched on her small face. Moreover, they had just met, and the boss was holding her hand. As they entered the shop, Yibai released her hand and promptly handed her his live streaming phone, urging, "I don't care how you do it. You must find a way to boost my audience during my streams. Of course, don't feel too pressured. I'll give you a month to experiment." "Oh, okay." Sun Ling replied nervously, wanting to refuse but uncertain how to articulate it. "What does OK mean?" "You should say received," Yibai said with a stern expression. "Received?" Sun Ling's face flushed deeper. She suddenly felt as if she had entered a den of lions. Just then, a knock echoed from outside the repair shop. "Knock, knock, knock. Hello, is Comrade Yibai in?" "I am Secretary Dekong." Secretary Dekong greeted with a cheerful smile at the door. Yibai was taken aback and gestured to Sun Ling. "Go brew a cup of tea. This is our Huadu secretary." "Hurry." "Secretary?" Sun Ling was bewildered. Throughout her life, the highest-ranking official she had met was merely the village chief. It was only after her acceptance in Qing Bay that she had the chance to see the mayor, and even then, it was just a fleeting encounter. Now, She was being told that a secretary had personally visited this dilapidated auto repair shop. Nevertheless, she was perceptive and obediently went to prepare the tea. As Secretary de Kong entered, his cheerful demeanor revealed that he had noticed the busy young woman behind Yi Bai. He couldn't help but exclaim, "Comrade Yi is indeed fortunate to have such a beautiful girlfriend." No, she's just my summer intern." Yi Bai waved his hand dismissively. Secretary de Kong chuckled, "There are no outsiders here. Why hide it from me? Besides, if you are truly hiring, you ought to seek experienced workers or professional assistants. Many people simply choose not to comment on a young girl of your age." "Really, Secretary de Kong, we just got back together, and you're already teasing me?" Yi Bai scratched his head, thinking that if she were his girlfriend, he would certainly be open about it. Meanwhile, Sun Ling was puzzled, thinking, "Didn't Dad, Sun Jishui, say Yi Bai is 28? How has he suddenly become around my age?" However, Yi Bai did appear to be as youthful as the boys in her class, albeit more handsome and charismatic. Ha. All right, let us get back to business," Secretary de Kong said with a knowing look, pausing slightly before awkwardly continuing, "regarding cooperation. I believe it would be best if we could help Huadu Fire Department modify a fire truck." "One truck?" Yi Bai was at a loss for words. How much could they earn from just one? "Yes, just one, with an estimated cost of around 1.2 million. Secretary de Kong's expression was grave, as this was the sponsorship he had pleaded for the previous night. "Well, that's not impossible." Yi Bai nodded, acknowledging that while it was a small amount, the unit price was high, and crucially, a fire truck would definitely count towards the project's progress. "Wonderful." Secretary de Kong exhaled in relief, visibly excited. "My thought is this. The current typhoon has moved north towards Fujian and west towards Guangxi, leaving Huadu in the midst of the hottest weather. This high-temperature environment is precisely when fires are most likely to occur. I hope the upgraded fire truck, while not necessarily fast, must have outstanding firefighting capability. At least it should be efficient enough to instill confidence in the citizens, ensuring they feel safe living in Huadu. Mr. Yi, can you meet this requirement?" Yi Bai furrowed his brow, pondering the need for efficiency in extinguishing fires and ensuring public safety. "Let me think. It shouldn't be a problem." "That's great." Secretary de Kong quickly took out his phone, appearing anxious. "Can I transfer the deposit to you now? After it's completed, would it be possible for you to come to Huadu Fire Department for the vehicle inspection?" "Oh, at that time. Secretary Zhang from the provincial office and Academician Yang from Lonka Institute will also attend for observation and learning," Secretary de Kong added. Seeing the hopeful gaze of Secretary de Kong, Yi Bai couldn't help but shake his head. Indeed, a secretary who doesn't aspire for progress isn't a good secretary. Ding. A notification rang as 360,000 yuan appeared in his mobile balance. A smile crept onto Yi Bai's lips as he calmly stated, "Since I've received the deposit, what reason do I have to refuse?" Secretary de Kong, may our collaboration flourish. I look forward to relying on you more in Huadu and the capital. Not at all. Should you need my assistance, don't hesitate to ask. Secretary de Kong responded excitedly. Thus, this order was effectively confirmed. Meanwhile, Sun Ling was astonished. The Huadu secretary was seeking Yi Bai's assistance. Was this real? However, when she checked the official website, she found that the photograph indeed matched Secretary de Kong, and his political achievements were impressive. Could it be that Yi Bai was indeed a hidden big shot? Chapter 59. I have sold my assets, and yet we have cooperated? After discussing some details with Secretary de Kong, Yi Bai glanced at the dazed Sun Ling and said decisively, "Sun Ling, stop daydreaming. See the guest off." "Yes, boss." Sun Ling quickly nodded and stood up to escort Secretary de Kong out. Upon returning, she obediently sat beside Yi Bai. Yi Bai pondered and asked, "Do you think I would gain viewership if I live-streamed the car modifications? Or would it be shocking?" Sun Ling widened her eyes, staring blankly for a long while before responding, "It might be a bit dull." "True," Yi Bai replied with a click of his tongue, deciding to expedite the modification of the fire truck to reap a substantial amount of shock value. Furthermore, with Sun Ling as his assistant, if she were to appear on screen, the viewership would surely increase, garnering even more shock value. Suddenly, an insidious, or rather, brilliant idea struck Yi Bai's mind. Just as he was about to put it into practice, another knock echoed from outside. Knock, knock, knock. Yi Bai frowned. It was only morning, and 3 visitors had already come. "Who is it?" he called out impatiently. To his surprise, Lei Chuyang, drenched in sweat, approached, pulling out a bank card and announcing, "There's 600,000 on this card, which I obtained through a bank loan. The remaining 2 million. I will find a way to get to you as soon as possible. As promised, 10 vehicles for 3 million. I, Lei Chuyang, am a man of my word and will find a way to fulfill it." "What? A bank loan? Yi Bai was incredulous. How could a mere director have such funds? Unless he had mortgaged his house. He didn't want to force others to sell their assets. Director Lei, I don't need this money. Besides, once the car modifications are complete, you won't be able to sell them, which would violate party regulations. So please, take the money back. Seeing Lei Chuyang insist, Yi Bai interrupted, and you might not know, I've already partnered with Secretary Dekong. Why you've partnered with him? Lei Chuyang was utterly astonished. Yes, I was just preparing to devise a plan for the modifications, Yi Bai winked. Lei Chuyang felt as though the sky had fallen upon him. He had just sold his assets. And now his wife was threatening divorce, all for the sake of fulfilling a contract. Yet, unexpectedly, he found himself in another partnership, implying that he had not breached any agreement. Alas, at that moment, Yi Bai remarked, Old Lei, I see that you are a man of integrity. Why not join me? Together, we can establish a trillion-dollar conglomerate, serving the people in the process. With furrowed brows, Lei Chuyang replied earnestly, I appreciate your kind offer, Boss Yi. But my lifelong ambition has been to be a good official, to serve in my position and govern responsibly. Very well, then. Allow me to offer you a favorable opportunity for vehicle modification, limited to one vehicle. Think about any transportation management needs that could be addressed through this modification. There's no rush. Who knows? This modification might even lead to your promotion, Yi Bai added. Recognizing Lei Chuyang's commendable character, Yi Bai was willing to forego some benefits to ensure that such a good man did not suffer losses. If possible, he wished to lend a helping hand. Boss Yi, your righteousness, in service of the nation and the people of Huadu, is commendable. I, Lei, hold you in high esteem. Lei Chuyang expressed with heartfelt admiration. Feeling somewhat inadequate in comparison to Yi Bai, not long after bidding farewell to Lei Chuyang, a Dongfeng fire truck rolled onto the empty lot. Yi Bai inspected it thoroughly and noted its robust quality, with thick and durable steel. The front of the vehicle featured a support structure that, when extended, could reach considerable heights, equipped with a water cannon designed for high-altitude firefighting. Scanning the vehicle, Yi Bai murmured. Scanning in progress. Model, Dongfeng 18M high-pressure fire truck. Age, 2 years. No anomalies detected inside. Scan results. Modifications available. Yi Bai nodded in approval. The system confirmed that the vehicle was indeed in excellent condition. The requirements set forth by Secretary Dekong emphasized efficiency and a sense of security, which warranted careful consideration. Let us consider the available modification modules. The budget should be within 3 million shock points, Yi Bai contemplated. After all, this vehicle would be presented to the academicians of Lonka Institute, so it needed to impress. Ding. The available modules are as follows. Quantum reinforced frame nanocarbon fiber, liquid metal self-repairing structure, withstands 50 tons of recoil, priced at 220,000 shock points. Hover assistance system magnetic levitation wheels, adjustable ground clearance of 0.15 m, suitable for all-terrain mobility, priced at 130,000 shock points. Dry ice rocket artillery system, superconducting dry ice compressed projectiles, 200 storage, creates an ice crystal cloud explosion effect upon launch, freezing electronic devices within a 50 m radius. Range, 50 m, atmospheric, and 200 m, space mode. Priced at 530,000 shock points. Supersonic water mist ejector, supersonic water mist ejection, 100 MPa, 500 m, water column, and 300 m, foam. Priced at 330,000 shock points. After reviewing the options, Yi Bai concluded that, despite their military flair, such modifications were not overly problematic for a specialized vehicle like a fire truck. Well, since Secretary Dekong desires efficiency, I shall opt for the dry ice rocket artillery system. 1 shot is insufficient. Let us go for 32 shots. 1 shot every 5 seconds. Achieving full fire coverage in just over a minute. The firefighting efficiency will be exceptional. Yi Bai mused, decisively incorporating the dry ice rocket artillery into the modular design. Nevertheless, given the military connotations of the rocket artillery, it might unsettle some citizens. Thus, he decided to add the supersonic water mist ejector, as a fire truck must possess water to fulfill its purpose. Soon after, Yi Bai included a multitude of other projects, totaling 29,999 shock points. While it did not reach full modification status, it was certainly a significant upgrade from the previous rudimentary version. With the plan finalized, it was time to proceed to the first stage laboratory for formal assembly testing. Yi Bai found a comfortable spot, closed his eyes, and entered the first stage laboratory. Having become proficient in the modification of fire trucks, he completed the learning process in less than a few hours. Notably, with the increased usage and duration in the first stage laboratory, The progress bar for the second stage laboratory had also advanced to 13. However, Yi Bai's most pressing desire remained the completion of the fire truck's upgrades. After 3 full days, Yi Bai successfully completed the modifications on the fire truck. Chapter 60, Modifications Complete, Fire Drill with Kindergarten Collaboration. Scanning the vehicle, Yi Bai softly commanded. Scanning in progress, scan successful. Submitting vehicle data, submission successful. Overall evaluation, this modified vehicle is rated E, nearly C. Ding. Congratulations, host. Task progress has increased, 410, and you have received a phase reward. Proficiency in artillery operation. In an instant, a torrent of information surged into Yi Bai's mind, encompassing the entire process of loading, aiming, and firing the rocket artillery, all etched into his memory. Additionally, he acquired knowledge on fire control computers, meteorological inputs, ballistic parameter inputs, and calculations for firing solutions, alongside mechanical maintenance, battlefield situational awareness, communication coordination, as well as camouflage and survival skills. Moreover, with the system's extraordinary capabilities, his heart rate gradually stabilized under pressure, maintaining below 110 beats per minute, achieving a loading speed of over 4 rounds per minute. The entire firing process had been honed through rigorous practice, firmly ingrained in his muscle memory, rendering him a master of the artillery profession. However, as a soon-to-be college freshman, what did it mean to be proficient in artillery operation? Was this encouragement for him to engage in artillery fire? He would certainly prefer not to utilize an Italian cannon. The upgraded fire truck exhibited significant improvements across all metrics compared to its original state. Yi Bai named it the Turbofan Fire Cannon Truck. Secretary Dekong. The fire truck has been successfully modified. However, I lack a fire truck driver's license. Should I arrange for a firefighter to accompany me? Yi Bai communicated via voice message to the green bubble. Moments later, Secretary Dekong replied, I will arrange for Su Ning to accompany you. You are familiar with the vehicle, and since you can drive, you should handle it, especially since you will be operating during the inspection. Tomorrow morning, we will meet at the fire department. Let us not miss each other. Not a chance. Yi Bai replied lightly. I can legally drive without a license. Why not? At that moment, outside the Yunxiao Auto Repair Shop, a gray kindergarten bus with a scarred front drove up. Seeing that the driver was his uncle, Xiao Yunshan, Yi Bai couldn't help but ask, Uncle, aren't you supposed to be an assistant at the kindergarten? What brings you here? After getting out of the bus, Xiao Yunshan hurried over to Yi Bai and explained, I heard you've been modifying fire trucks, and our Inkai kindergarten is also planning a fire drill. I thought it would be great to collaborate with the Fire Bureau and, subsequently, with the Yunxiao Auto Repair Shop to gain local recognition. Who knows? Parents of students might seek your services for vehicle modifications. Indeed, you have a point. Yi Bai's eyes lit up. Inkai Kindergarten is a prestigious institution, with affluent families that possess the financial means for vehicle modifications. Right, the principal sent me here, and I don't have any connections at the Fire Bureau. But you're my little nephew, so I naturally came to you, Xiao Yunshan added. Yi Bai chuckled, all right, uncle. Please wait a moment while I consult with Secretary Dekong. Subsequently, Yi Bai informed Secretary Dekong about the proposed fire drill collaboration with Inkai Kindergarten. Upon hearing the news, Secretary Dekong was quite pleased, recognizing the value of experiential learning, especially in a kindergarten setting. Once publicized, it would greatly benefit his reputation and the public's trust in him. Everything is ready, only awaiting tomorrow's live vehicle inspection. At this moment, Yi Bai decided to put into practice his previous diabolical, no, rather ingenious, idea. Thus, within the confines of the Yunxiao Auto Repair Shop, Sun Ling gazed at a pair of deep black stockings resting on the coffee table, her expression one of utter dismay. Is the boss really going to wear black stockings? She pondered. Then tell me, what have you discovered these past few days that could enhance traffic? Yi Bai retorted. Sun Ling fiddled with the hem of her skirt, her cheeks turning a shade of crimson. And no, I haven't. Then that's settled. Just follow my lead. As long as you wear black stockings, traffic will surely surge. You don't even have to dance or wear anything overly provocative. Just don your little dress and pair it with the stockings. Occasionally, reveal a glimpse of yourself. And that will suffice, Yi Bai declared. Sun Ling twisted her body, her face now even more flushed. Boss, can I wear white stockings instead? White stockings. Yi Bai was taken aback. How can white be as enticing as black? I've worn white before. I'm not as shy in them. But black? I'm a bit unaccustomed, Sun Ling replied, nodding. Fine, white it is. I'll go buy a set. Those black stockings cost me over 1,000. Yi Bai improvised, swiftly placing an order for a box of 3 white stockings at 99 yuan. What? Over 1,000? Is it Balenciaga or something? Sun Ling exclaimed in astonishment. Right? I suppose so. I can't be bothered to check the brand. If you don't wear them, I certainly won't either. They'll just be tossed aside, Yi Bai said nonchalantly. Sun Ling lowered her head, conflicted yet filled with a hint of anticipation, murmuring, "Boss. Maybe I should wear them after all." Yi Bai was momentarily stunned. "Wait, first you want to wear them, then you don't. What's the deal?" "I just don't want to waste them." Sun Ling buried her face deeper. "Ah, my diligent assistant, I appreciate your dedication. Come on. Let me see you wear them." Yi Bai decisively canceled his order and tossed the black stockings into Sun Ling's hands. Sun Ling received the stockings, initially considering changing in the next room, but upon reflection, she realized they were merely stockings, nothing like a dress or top, and akin to hairpins or bracelets. There was no need for secrecy. Besides, she would eventually have to appear in public, so she resolved to sit before Yi Bai and cultivate her courage. "Boss, I've put them on," Sun Ling said bashfully. "Go ahead, they're just black stockings," Yi Bai replied, bewildered. However, he soon recalled that she was merely a freshly turned 18-year-old girl. Her shyness was entirely understandable. If she were overly bold, he might not find it appealing. Moments later, Yi Bai was met with a sight that sent his heart racing. Sun Ling, clad in her dress, casually lifted her beautiful leg, slowly enveloping it in the black stockings. To his astonishment, her thighs were shapely, her calves resembling elegant wine glasses, and her delicate feet were perfectly contoured, even taking on the form of little butterflies. Yi Bai recognized his own impure thoughts, yet he couldn't help but feel captivated. Sun Ling's allure was overwhelming. He dared not make a move. After a short while, Sun Ling, having donned the black stockings, noticed Yi Bai's flushed face and rigid posture, and her cheeks bloomed with a deeper shade of red. She twirled on the spot, lifting her skirt in a princess-like manner before eagerly inquiring, "Boss, how do I look?" Yi Bai gulped, adopting a serious expression. "Not bad. However, if you're wearing a skirt, you must be cautious. Although you may not often encounter it, there are indeed some perverts who might lurk around, peeping and filming." Sun Ling recalled something, suddenly grasping the implication behind Yi Bai's words. She trembled, hastily covering her abdomen, her face burning redder than a ripe apple. In a flash, she dashed out of the auto repair shop. Chapter 61. Did you intend to modify the fire truck into a rocket launcher? When Sun Ling returned, Yi Bai distinctly noticed that her skirt appeared thicker than before. She had likely donned safety shorts after all. "Boss, this is my first time in a big city, and there are some things I don't quite understand. If I make a mistake, could you show me a bit more tolerance? I promise to improve," Sun Ling said cautiously, intertwining her fingers. Yi Bai was taken aback. He had expected her to be upset, yet her sincerity was refreshing. "It's my first time being a boss as well, and in a couple of months, when I attend Xinbei, we might even be classmates," he replied with a smile. "You're not 28? Sun Ling asked in shock. Yi Bai sheepishly scratched his head. "I lied to your father. I'm the same age as you. Perhaps just a month older." Sun Ling blinked, her cheeks reddening further, her heart racing like a startled fawn. "Prepare well. You can learn what an assistant should and shouldn't do. Check out the requirements on MOIN or directly on SOB for assistant positions to set your standards high," Yi Bai advised before pulling out his phone and walking next door. His phone had been buzzing incessantly. Upon glancing at it, he realized it was a video call from his father, Yi Nantian. "Hello, Dad, what's up? Can't you see I'm busy? I'm repairing cars," Yi Bai replied assertively. On the other end of the video, Yi Nantian, leaning against a genuine leather sofa illuminated by a Swarovski crystal lamp, smiled. "Not bad at all. I thought you might be out with friends, shirking your responsibilities. How's the business at the auto repair shop? I assume it's not doing too well," Yi Bai replied in exasperation. "Do you not trust in my capabilities? I've already earned several million." "Well, that is commendable. I was planning to have you take over the newly opened flagship auto repair shop in Huadu, but it seems I'll have to delegate that to someone else," Yi Nantian responded calmly. Yi Bai thought to himself, as expected, and continued, "Then let someone else manage it." Yi Nantian frowned, taken aback. "This is a flagship store. I invested 30 million. It could potentially earn 800,000 to 900,000 a month, and if business is good, we could see 3 to 5 million in monthly earnings when it opens. Investing 30 million for only 3 to 5 million a month? Dad, your business acumen as a group chairman seems rather mediocre. I can easily pull in 3 to 5 million in just a few days. I'm on track for at least 20 to 30 million a month. By the time we split the profits, I'll be keeping over 27 million for myself," Yi Bai exclaimed excitedly. Yi Nantian's expression darkened gradually as he listened. By the time Yi Bai finished speaking, he appeared both angry and disappointed. "Son, I know you feel that I raised you poorly, but when you grow up, you'll understand my struggles. I'll let this slide this time. I'll call you again at the end of the month. By then, You might want to ask me for the chance to manage the flagship store. But the profit split will be reversed, 90 for me, 10 for you. With that, Yi Nantian ended the call. Yi Bai was left feeling frustrated and incredulous. If he doesn't believe me, so be it. He is so high and mighty. I'm already closing deals worth millions. I don't need my father's charity. By the end of the month, I'll be showering him with profits that will leave him stunned. And I'll have earned 2 first-class awards. With a son as exceptional as me, he should be reveling in it. Yi Bai grumbled under his breath. The night passed swiftly. The next morning, Yi Bai rose early. Outside the Yunxiao auto repair shop, 2 traffic policemen arrived on motorcycles. One was Su Ning, riding the modified Red Flame Dragon Knight, while the other was Cheng Cheng, the officer who had previously misunderstood Yi Bai's modifications as illegal. After parking their bikes, Cheng Cheng gazed enviously at the Red Flame Dragon Knight, glistening under the sunlight. I never expected this devilishly fast bike to actually be a police motorcycle, he exclaimed. Su Ning frowned. This isn't just any bike. It has a name. It's the Red Flame Dragon Knight. It matters not. By the way, you mentioned that Lei Ju asked us to escort a fire truck here. I am quite curious as to the reasoning behind this. Who possesses such influence that they could arrange for us, the traffic police, to provide an escort? Cheng Cheng inquired further. Su Ning, initially disinterested in Cheng Cheng's remarks, found herself intrigued upon witnessing the gates of Yunxiao auto repair shop swing open. Her beautiful eyes sparkled with anticipation as she proudly declared, "Of course, it is the genius car modifier who has transformed the vehicle into the Crimson Flame Dragon Knight." The Crimson Flame Dragon Knight, Cheng Cheng exclaimed, recalling the young man from earlier. Now he is a distinguished guest of Secretary de Kong, having personally modified and upgraded a fire truck for the fire department. This time, we are here to escort him, Su Ning added. Cheng Cheng, astonished, exclaimed, "That is Secretary de Kong. How could that youth possess such extraordinary capabilities?" At that moment, the roll-up door of Yunxiao auto repair shop opened, and with a thunderous roar, a red fire truck burst forth. Its roof was adorned with the bold, black-bordered white characters that read Huadu Fire Department, and it was equipped with flashing red and blue lights. The sides, rear, and roof of the vehicle were painted with reflective stripes in accordance with regulations. Yet, Cheng Cheng pondered aloud, why does this vehicle appear unchanged after the modifications? He scrutinized the fire truck with a perplexed expression. Su Ning also examined the fire truck and realized it bore a striking resemblance to those she typically encountered. Yi Bai, it has been a while. I have a question that piques my curiosity. Since you modified the fire truck, why does it seem unchanged? Su Ning approached the window, her curiosity unabated. Yi Bai scratched his nose and explained, "Actually, I added an exterior shell for the sake of discretion. I wanted to avoid drawing too much attention on the road. However, if you wish to see it in advance, I suppose that could be arranged, provided you do not believe it will cause a traffic jam." After a moment of contemplation, Su Ning replied, "Let us wait until we reach our destination to take a look. For now, we shall clear the way for you." "Very well," Yi Bai responded casually, then signaled to his co-driver, Sun Ling, to commence the live broadcast. Having honed her skills over the past few days, Sun Ling adeptly managed the broadcasting tools. Just as Yi Bai was about to roll up the window, a large hand suddenly pressed against it, none other than Cheng Cheng's. With a grin, Cheng Cheng remarked, "It's merely a fire truck. Could it possibly be more captivating than the Crimson Flame Dragon Knight that Su Ning drives? Let us remove the shell. After all, it will eventually be driven without it to put out fires, won't it? That's a decision for him to make. Please refrain from interfering," Su Ning retorted angrily. Yi Bai waved his hand dismissively. "It's all right. I believe he has a point. Ultimately, it will be on the road. So why not allow the people of Huadu to familiarize themselves with it ahead of time?" As he spoke, Yi Bai exited the vehicle, retrieved a wrench, and began to remove the iron plates securing the exterior shell. "Come, lend me a hand." Cheng Cheng beamed with pride and eagerly assisted Yi Bai in disassembling the vehicle. In no time, they had removed all the iron plates. When they finally beheld the entirety of the fire truck, both Cheng Cheng and Su Ning were left utterly speechless. The body of the vehicle, behind the standard front, revealed an enormous 34 launcher, each measuring an astonishing 36 meters in length. Mounted atop were shells, the kind that are pointed at the front yet rounded at the tip, with elongated but robust bodies. "Isn't that a rocket launcher? You transformed a fire truck into a rocket launcher?" Cheng Cheng stammered in disbelief. Yi Bai replied nonchalantly, "Whether it is legal or not is a question for your Secretary de Kong. He is the one who authorized the modifications." "Goodness," Cheng Cheng exclaimed. "How could Secretary de Kong permit such alterations?" Returning to her senses, Su Ning's expression grew serious. Indeed, if this rocket launcher truck were to hit the road without warning, It could incite panic among the citizens and lead to unnecessary complications. Perhaps we should reconsider and reattach the shell? No, let it be as is. Isn't it splendid? The people of Huadu will eventually need to adapt. Cheng Cheng insisted. Yi Bai frowned slightly, recognizing Cheng Cheng's tendency to oppose anything that seemed disadvantageous to him. However, he was also curious about how the public would perceive the vehicle, as every ounce of shock value contributed to his confidence. Let us proceed as he suggests. Additionally, I am live streaming, he added. Sun Ling, step out and give the viewers a thorough look at my latest masterpiece. Soon, Sun Ling emerged from the passenger seat. A stunning young woman clad in alluring black stockings, exuding an aura of sweetness and charm. Though not as tall as Su Ning, she possessed an undeniable allure. Cheng Cheng's eyes widened at the sight of such a beautiful young lady assisting Yi Bai. Suddenly, an idea struck him, and he exclaimed, Yi Bai, you are truly fortunate to have such a lovely young woman by your side. It is enviable. Su Ning raised an eyebrow, her expression laden with complexity as she regarded Yi Bai. Yi Bai, somewhat disinclined to engage with Cheng Cheng, was relieved when Sun Ling clarified, no, we are not in a romantic relationship. Besides, with such a handsome, talented, and influential boss, he may not even consider someone like me. Cheng Cheng was momentarily at a loss for words, taken aback by her honesty. Su Ning chuckled. It seems Yi Bai is indeed doing well, having recruited such a lovely assistant. Yi Bai waved his hand dismissively. Your words suggest that she is some sort of unprincipled assistant. She is the daughter of a driver I helped. In gratitude, she wishes to work for free. Am I the type to objectify women? Of course. I will pay her a salary and teach her how to be a proper assistant. Su Ning's smile broadened as she approached Sun Ling, bending slightly to speak to her. Do not be nervous, dear. Your boss is quite kind. Work diligently under him, and your future prospects will be bright. Okay, Sun Ling replied shyly, lowering her head with a hint of melancholy. At that moment, Yi Bai approached and playfully flicked Sun Ling's forehead, instructing her, do not be so reserved. You are destined to be a prominent woman. Quickly, show the viewers the entire fire truck. We will have to wait half an hour before we can board. With a wince, Sun Ling closed her eyes and nodded, then scampered around the fire truck. The viewers of the live stream were momentarily disoriented by the shaky camera work. However, as the footage continued, some began to realize something was amiss. The vehicle's body was bulging, and wasn't that a rocket launcher? Oh my. The main character has truly transformed the fire truck into a rocket launcher? Wait, I hadn't noticed until you pointed it out. That is definitely a rocket launcher. Wow. The main character is taking things to a whole new level. Are we now in the realm of military manufacturing? Observing the humorous comments in the chat, Yi Bai found himself thoroughly entertained. Moreover, he noted a stark contrast in viewer engagement with and without Sun Ling's presence. When he streamed alone, the viewership barely increased by dozens. Now, with Sun Ling, the numbers surged into the hundreds. Before long, the viewer count had skyrocketed to 2,000 or 3,000. In such a brief span, the shock value amassed exceeded 10,000. Clearly, the allure of the black stockings was undeniable. Come, Sun Ling, direct the camera towards me. Yi Bai beckoned. Sun Ling turned back to him, rushing over and cheerfully exclaiming, Boss, I'm here. The camera focused on Yi Bai. Yi Bai cleared his throat and proclaimed, Dear viewers of the Bobo platform, it has been a while. Your host has missed you immensely. Today, I am excited to present to you the latest collaborative creation with the Huadu Fire Department, the turbojet fire cannon vehicle, affectionately nicknamed Chow Chow. Why this moniker, you ask? It is quite simple. Who is known as the fastest in history? Indeed, it is the one who arrives upon mention, Chow Chow himself. Imagine, should a fire break out at your home, and the fire truck takes an eternity to arrive, wouldn't you wish for it to arrive as swiftly as Chow Chow? Thus, the significance of this name becomes evident. In the live chat, viewers chimed in. So true. I find your reasoning quite compelling. But is there a possibility, just a possibility, that Chow Chow had a penchant for married women? Say his name, and he appears. Mention a green hat. Cough cough, you know what I mean. But this vehicle is red. What if the husband is colorblind to red and green? Oh dear, that is quite the revelation. 666. Yi Bai chuckled at the diversity of perspectives from this generation of netizens. He had not anticipated the swift onset of side effects brought on by Sun Ling's presence. Comments were already surfacing, asking who this was, and where the lovely host had gone, while suggesting the assistant step aside for the black-stockinged host to take the spotlight. To this, Yi Bai responded with playful defiance, occasionally feigning a fumble with his phone, inadvertently allowing glimpses of Sun Ling's black stockings on camera. The art of teasing the audience. Thus, amidst a flurry of fervent comments, Yi Bai resumed his place at the helm. with Su Ning and Cheng Cheng leading the way. One would expect passers-by to be drawn to the fiery dragon riders. However, contrary to expectations, men and women of all ages were immediately captivated by the sight of the rocket cannon fire truck. Bystanders frequently turned their heads, and even drivers, upon spotting the rocket cannon truck, were taken aback, letting out exclamations of astonishment. After all, encountering a red rocket cannon truck on the streets was indeed a first. Many individuals whipped out their phones to capture the moment. Thankfully, the journey was largely uninterrupted and did not incite panic among the public. After half an hour, they successfully arrived at the entrance of the Huadu Fire Department. Contrary to the anticipated fear of such a vehicle, people could not resist snapping photos, with some daring enough to take group shots. One elderly gentleman stood out in particular. He reminisced about operating a similar Katyusha rocket launcher on the battlefield years ago, delivering a significant blow to the Eagle Nation's forces. A young woman even expressed her desire to fire a couple of rounds, and after Yi Bai declined, she sought to engage him further. The spirited enthusiasm of the citizens. Sun Ling hesitated for a moment before voicing, "I've noticed that in foreign shooting ranges, when our compatriots first handle firearms, they seem to instinctively know how to shoot accurately, growing more excited with each shot, even startling the foreigners." Yi Bai mused that if this turbojet fire cannon were to gain nationwide acceptance, the scene would be exhilarating to behold. Chapter 63. It's merely a fire truck. How could it be altered? Sun Ling pondered the imagery of a fire breaking out, where abroad, one would see red water trucks, while in the Dragon Nation, fire trucks brimming with rocket launchers would respond. If a significant blaze occurred, multiple fire trucks would be dispatched, leading the unsuspecting public to wonder if a conflict had erupted. Given the sight of several rocket cannon vehicles mobilized together, the live chat erupted. 666. Only the host dares to dream. Chao County at the center of the universe. We request a second rocket cannon. Chao Chao fire truck. Goodness, that logic is quite bold. Chao Chao was from Pei County, which is in our Anhui province. No, it must be our magic city first. As an international metropolis, how can we lack a rocket cannon truck? If foreigners discovered this, they'd think we couldn't afford them. Once fire cannon trucks proliferate across the nation, I suspect foreigners and the Eagle Nation will be utterly dumbfounded. Foreigners? Wait, they're using rocket cannon trucks as fire trucks? How intense. The Dragon Nation is the true warrior nation. Eagle Nation Commissioner Smith. Oh no, Mr. President, we've discovered that the Dragon Nation is engaging in an arms race. Rocket cannon trucks are everywhere. We can't fall behind. I propose we promote fire cannon trucks nationwide, matching their prices. Matching prices? Everyone knows the exchange rate is over 6-1. With the live viewership at 111, Yi Bai was pleasantly surprised by the audience's enthusiasm for the proliferation of fire cannon trucks. So, let us together evaluate the masterpiece from my Yunxiao Auto Repair Factory and see if it lives up to your expectations. There are thousands of counties across the nation. Surely, each could have one. With so many cities, if each city had 35 vehicles, that wouldn't be unreasonable, would it? That's at least 20,000 units. If each unit earns 900,000, oh my, that amounts to 18 billion in net profit. We must find a way to promote the fire cannon truck nationwide. Feeling a surge of excitement, Yi Bai was truly invigorated. Just then, Su Ning parked the fiery dragon rider aside and approached the window of the turbojet fire cannon truck, saying, "Yi Bai, I need to go inside to report to Secretary De Kong, then I'll bring you in. Please wait a moment." Of course, Yi Bai replied, snapping back to reality, suddenly recalling something important. He called out to Su Ning, "Officer Su, I promised to compensate you with a hairpin. Would this one suffice?" Su Ning looked at the adorable dog-shaped hairpin in Yi Bai's palm, her eyes wide with surprise and delight. "I love it." She quickly snatched the pin, removed her helmet, and adorned herself with it, smiling radiantly at Yi Bai. "Does it look good?" "Of course, I chose it myself. It's quite lovely," Yi Bai remarked. As Su Ning's smile illuminated her face, Yi Bai felt as though he were gazing upon a celestial fairy gracing him with her beauty. "Thank you. I must go now. I'll see you soon. Goodbye," Su Ning said, her head lowered, clutching her helmet, her cheeks flushed as she hurried away. "Goodbye," Yi Bai waved, then leaned back in his seat, awaiting his entrance into the fire department. Within the fire station, Secretary De Kong had not only styled his hair back, but had also donned a brand new administrative jacket. He stood before the mirror, ensuring his appearance was impeccable. At that moment, Secretary Jin Yang approached with palpable excitement, announcing, "Secretary De Kong, Secretary Zhang from the police department, and Academician Yang from the Dragon Institute have already entered." I intended for them to wait in the office, but they couldn't contain their eagerness and went straight to the vehicle inspection area, which is the athletics field of the Bureau. What? They went straight there? Secretary DeKong was taken aback. He had hoped to feign a busy schedule, rushing to the entrance to greet them and appear slightly out of breath. However, upon their arrival, they had bypassed him entirely for the athletics field. Who could he voice his grievances to? Without delay, Secretary DeKong hurried toward the athletics field, only to unexpectedly encounter Su Ning, who was reporting back. Secretary DeKong, Yi Bai is ready. When shall we arrange for them to enter? Su Ning asked, jogging alongside him. Secretary DeKong slowed his pace, glancing at his watch. In 5 minutes. Quickly, Secretary Jean, we mustn't keep the leaders waiting. Of course. Jean Yang chuckled, advising Su Ning briefly before promptly following suit. At the southeast side of the fire station, the scorching sun beats down upon the expansive track and field, which spans the size of 8 basketball courts. This venue, designed as a facility for staff accommodations, has today been repurposed as an experimental ground. Various oil drums, firewood, wooden platforms, and fuel are strewn across the ground. By the stands, 2 men walk side by side. The younger of the two, sporting a buzz cut and square-framed glasses, wears a white shirt buttoned to the top, complemented by a sharply tailored navy uniform jacket. He is Zhang Zheng, the secretary of the Guangdong Provincial Police Department. He glances at the elder beside him, whose disheveled gray hair and wrinkled camel wool cardigan contrast sharply with the golden-rimmed glasses precariously perched on his nose. He is Yang Xiaomin, an esteemed academician from the Guangdong branch of the Dragon Institute. Zhang Zheng holds a deep admiration for any academician. It is truly an honor for me, Secretary Zhang, to conduct vehicle inspections alongside you. Yang Xiaomin replies with a smile. I am equally privileged to collaborate with such an outstanding young talent as yourself. Moreover, I am eager to see what kind of plasma fluid barrier can not only activate instantaneously, but also withstand bullets. If it could be applied to fighter jets, transport vehicles, tanks, or individual combat weapons, it would undoubtedly be a formidable asset. Unfortunately, current tests indicate that the plasma fluid barrier of the Crimson Flame Dragon Rider can only stop bullets, not missiles. I have come to personally inquire if the genius behind this barrier can develop it further to intercept missiles. Zhang Zheng, intrigued, responds, Academician Yang. As an expert in fluid mechanics and electromagnetism, surely you possess insights on how to advance this technology to counter missiles? Yang Xiaomin shakes his head with a rueful smile. If only it were so simple. That is precisely why I am here to ask. One must not become complacent after achieving minor successes. For the sake of our nation and its people, I would not hesitate to seek guidance from others. Zhang Jing quickly interjects. You are too modest, Academician Yang. Your thirst for knowledge is indeed a model for our generation. If it were me, I would merely be focused on reducing costs, ensuring that more anti-narcotics officers have access to such life-saving equipment. Yang Xiaomin nods, appreciating Zhang Jing's attitude and perspective, regardless of our motives. We must meet this brilliant individual in person. Moreover, I have heard that he has developed a new invention. According to him, it involves upgrading existing vehicles. I believe it is a fire truck? I can only wonder what modifications have been made. Zhang Jing muses, contemplating whether it simply means increased water output, speed, or duration. However, he thinks, even seasoned firefighters could achieve that. As he ponders, Zhang Jing dismisses the notion that a fire truck could be transformed into something as remarkable as the Crimson Flame Dragon Rider. Chapter 64, Dry Ice Rocket Launcher. Is this really a fire truck? Just as the two were lost in thought, a loud call interrupts them. Academician Yang. Secretary Zhang. A breathless figure races towards them, chest out, one arm waving, the other reaching forward, a broad smile on his face. Secretary DeKong, the leader of Huadu District. Zhang Jing chuckles knowingly, saying to Yang Xiaomin, this is Secretary DeKong from Huadu, with the surname De? That is rather rare. Yang Xiaomin nods. Recalling a celebrity with that surname he had seen perform at a spring festival gala, though he struggled to remember the song's lyrics amidst the raucous atmosphere. As Secretary DeKong approaches, Zhang Jing casually remarks, our eagerness is not due to any shortcomings in your hospitality, Secretary DeKong. Is the fire truck you prepared ready for demonstration? And is that genius present as well? Yes, Secretary Zhang, I will arrange that right away. Secretary DeKong, panting heavily, gestures to his secretary Jean Yang behind him. Jean Yang, understanding the cue, quickly runs off and soon returns with a red fire truck. However, as the vehicle turns the corner, revealing its cannon and launcher, his eyes nearly bulge out of their sockets. Wait, why did you bring a rocket launcher vehicle? Is this allowed in the city? Which unit authorized this? Quickly, take it back. We are supposed to showcase a fire truck. Jin Yang exclaims anxiously, stamping his feet and gesturing frantically. Su Ning interjects, Secretary Jin, this is indeed a fire truck. It has merely been designed in the form of a rocket launcher. What? Jin Yang is bewildered. Whose fire truck is shaped like a rocket launcher? At this moment, Secretary DeKong calls from the stands, Secretary Jin. Why hasn't Comrade Yi Bai and his fire truck entered yet? Jin Yang's face contorts in frustration as he pleads with Secretary DeKong. Perhaps you should come and see for yourself. This seems rather unsuitable for demonstration. Unsuitable for demonstration? At such a critical moment, do not let me down. Secretary DeKong hurriedly descends from the stands, hurrying down the stairs. However, upon reaching the railing and catching sight of the red fire truck adorned with a rocket launcher, he freezes, mouth agape in shock. A rocket launcher vehicle. This is a rocket launcher vehicle. Secretary DeKong chuckles bitterly at Yi Bai. Comrade Yi Bai, I asked you to modify a fire truck, and you turned it into a rocket launcher. Yi Bai cheerfully replies, Secretary DeKong. Do you recall what requirements you previously mentioned? Secretary DeKong, nearly incoherent, points at the rocket launcher vehicle. This is hardly efficient for extinguishing fires. Yi Bai retorts, but a dry ice rocket launcher can extinguish fires quickly. It launches in 5 seconds and can sustain operation for 2 minutes and 40 seconds. I truly cannot fathom a fire in the city that it could not extinguish. Furthermore, unlike traditional fire trucks that require ladders for elevated access, mine can be precisely guided due to its rocket launcher design, much more convenient. Secretary DeKong stares, wide-eyed. You mean to extinguish fires with a dry ice rocket launcher? What will the trapped victims think? Good news. The fire department is here to put out the flames. Bad news. It's a dry ice rocket launcher. Are we saving lives from the fire or burying them in it? Meanwhile, academician Yang Xiaomin, witnessing the rocket launcher vehicle on the ground, chuckles. Well, I suspected there was some debate going on, and it turns out you transformed a fire truck into a rocket launcher. However, the reasoning behind this young comrade's design does hold some merit. Yet, using dry ice rockets could pose a suffocation risk, making it somewhat unsafe. A rocket launcher vehicle? Zhang Jing, who initially wished to ignore the commotion, is compelled to investigate upon hearing Yang Xiaomin's remarks. What he sees leaves him astounded. It is indeed a rocket launcher vehicle. Just moments ago, he thought it could not be transformed into something remarkable, only to be proven wrong. This young man truly has a vivid imagination. In the driver's seat, Yi Bai notices the elderly speaker, whose skin is lined with wrinkles and age spots, but whose voice is steady and robust. You must be academician Yang, whom I've long admired. I have considered your concerns. This dry ice rocket launcher detonates upon encountering fire, releasing dry ice to extinguish the flames. Additionally, I have incorporated liquid nitrogen, allowing the carbon dioxide generated by the explosion to rapidly return to dry ice, creating a large area devoid of flames. This not only facilitates air circulation, but also aids in rescue efforts. Of course, talk is cheap. Allow me to give you a practical demonstration. Zhang Jing stands in disbelief, pondering how a mere addition of liquid nitrogen could create such miraculous effects. Academician Yang, I can't shake the feeling that Yi Bai is somewhat exaggerating. After all, he may indeed be a genius in the field of plasma, but it seems improbable that he could simultaneously excel in the realm of materials chemistry. This academic leap is rather significant, Zhang Jing questioned. Yang Xiaomin pondered for a moment and replied, it's not entirely impossible. We might as well give it a try. Besides, we are here today at the invitation to evaluate the new fire truck from the fire department. Understood. Zhang Jing nodded decisively and called out to Yi Bai. Please commence your demonstration. Both young academician and I are eagerly awaiting. No problem, Yi Bai responded. Since the development of this fire truck, he had yet to test it in a real-world scenario beyond the initial laboratory phase. With that, Yi Bai drove the turbojet fire cannon truck to the athletic field, where Secretary DeKong had prepared 3 blazing bonfires in advance. Standing in the stands, Secretary DeKong called out loudly, there are 3 bonfires in total. Aim carefully and be sure not to hit the wrong target. Yi Bai, somewhat displeased, retorted, Secretary DeKong, you truly underestimate my fire cannon. It is capable of precise guidance. I don't even need 3 shots for these small bonfires. 1 rocket will suffice. As he spoke, Yi Bai deftly operated the remote control for the rocket launcher in the cockpit, aiming at the central bonfire, then decisively pressed a button. Whoosh! Almost instantaneously, a white rocket shot out, leaving a long trail of white smoke in its wake. Within just 2 or 3 seconds, it accurately struck the central bonfire. Boom! The main cannon hit first, followed by the simultaneous launch of 4 auxiliary rounds, which exploded, instantly engulfing all 3 bonfires and an even larger area in dense white smoke rising 2 to 3 meters high. Yet, as the smoke expanded to its maximum volume, it began to visibly contract. After a mere 10 seconds, the dry ice had shrunk to a height of only 60 centimeters. Although wisps of white smoke still emanated, it was undoubtedly insufficient to suffocate anyone. This spectacle left all present in a state of awe. Live stream viewers commented, "Incredible, it can actually expand and contract. Simply astonishing. The key is, one shot is enough. The power is impressive, and the effect is remarkable. But seriously, calling a dry ice rocket cannon a fire truck?" Chapter 65. Truly ingenious. Precision guidance is even in play? Ha ha ha. As expected, the primary package is still too ingenious. I now genuinely wonder if the primary package might just get recognized one day. It might even get incorporated into service, who knows? Humorous. The live stream audience reached 111. In contrast to the astonishment of the online viewers, Yang Xiaomin was able to mentally simulate this phenomenon and understood the underlying principles. What truly impressed him was the ability to devise such proportions and devices, and to apply them to a rocket cannon for firefighting. You, young comrade, possess quite the imaginative flair. From a practical standpoint, it indeed aligns with your claims. Utilizing a rocket cannon as a fire truck is quite fitting. Yang Xiaomin remarked with admiration. Not merely fitting, academician Yang, but exceptionally so. Yi Bai declared proudly, hands on his hips. You may not have noticed what I just said. It is capable of precise guidance. Yang Xiaomin paused, somewhat incredulous. Precision guidance is not merely a high-hit accuracy in a literal sense. It refers to the technology that employs intelligent control systems to enable weapons to strike targets with remarkable precision. The essence of this technology lies in real-time trajectory correction, with errors typically controlled within a meter or even centimeters. However, achieving precise guidance often requires radar, infrared, laser, or satellite signals to lock onto targets, followed by onboard computers calculating ballistic deviations in real time, and finally adjusting the flight path through aerodynamic fins or vector thrust. Currently, there are 5 mainstream guidance methods, represented by GPS satellite positioning and inertial navigation systems like the American JDAM, laser guidance systems like the Chinese LRS-6, infrared imaging thermal radiation tracking like the Russian H-38M missile, radar-guided missiles like the European Meteor air-to-air missile, and television-guided missiles like the Israeli Spike missile. Each has its strengths and weaknesses. It remains to be seen which method Yi Bai utilizes and whether it can achieve the precision guidance threshold of less than 5 meters. At that moment, Yi Bai leaned out of the window and addressed Secretary Dekong. Secretary, I am about to demonstrate something new. May I borrow a few drones for this purpose? Rest assured, should anything go awry, I will compensate for damages. No need. Proceed with your experiment. All expenses will be covered by the Huadu government. Secretary Dekong quickly assured, instructing his secretary, Jin Yang, hurry, notify the director of the Huadu Cultural and Tourism Bureau to bring over more than 10 drones immediately. Understood. Jin Yang promptly pulled out his phone, stepping aside while dialing the bureau director's number. Before long, Director Yu Chengying of the Cultural and Tourism Bureau arrived with 3 young individuals, each carrying 2 square boxes. Approximately 35 years old, Yu stood over 6 feet tall. And upon hearing Secretary Dekong's urgent call, his smile was already evident before entering. Now, seeing Secretary Dekong in person, he beamed even brighter, exclaiming, Secretary Dekong, I have arrived. I brought what you requested. Rest assured, our Huadu Cultural and Tourism Bureau has recently developed an exciting drone light show. Although it may not rival the grand scale of those in Yuedu and Shenzhen, it is uniquely creative. Our drones not only have swift movement trajectories, but are also agile, capable of simulating the motion of water waves. Simulating water waves? Splendid. Secretary Dekong's eyes lit up. Let your team demonstrate right here, maintaining your usual speed. Remember, no errors. Secretary Zhang from the police department and Academician Yang are watching. Secretary Zhang, Academician Yang. Yu Chengying's excitement intensified if the academicians took notice. Not only would funding be secured, but a promotion might also be in sight. He turned to the 3 young individuals with sternness. You must put your utmost effort into showcasing your talents. Understood, Director Yu. One of the young men replied earnestly. Soon, the trio opened their boxes and, using remote controls, successfully launched 10 drones into the sky. Under the control of a laptop's network, they began to execute wave-like movements. Although these actions consisted of the drones sequentially descending and ascending, the timing and frequency were impeccable, creating a fluid illusion reminiscent of water waves. Of course, in addition to the basic wave movements, the 10 drones could also simulate the actions of flowing mountains and rivers, wherein the drones mimicked waterways cascading from heights, then gliding over a broad expanse at low altitudes before ascending again to continue their descent. This maneuver tested the drone's performance and the computer's spatial measurements. Remarkably, this action was flawlessly executed. Yu Chengying, observing the drone's impressive display, excitedly turned to Secretary Dekong. Look, our drones have performed beautifully. This stunning wave effect may seem simple, but it truly requires a meticulous synergy between the drone's capabilities and the computer parameters. Secretary Dekong nodded in approval. Well done. Hearing this, Yu Chengying's excitement grew even more. Rubbing his hands together, so, about the funding. Oh, do not worry. Any damages will be compensated. Secretary Dekong hastily replied. Compensated? Yu Chengying was left puzzled. Shouldn't funding come from the financial allocation? What did compensated mean? Immediately, he noticed Secretary Dekong giving a thumbs up to a vehicle not far away. To his astonishment, it was a rocket artillery vehicle, a striking red one. It was his first encounter with such a sight. However, wasn't the rocket artillery a military vehicle? What was it doing in the city? At that moment, he suddenly saw a long plume of white smoke billowing from the rear of the rocket artillery. Goodness! Yu Chengying was taken aback. That was a rocket artillery. Were they launching it in the city? If it exploded nearby, there would be chaos. Whoosh! The rocket artillery emitted a swift sound as it launched, not exploding on the spot as anticipated, but soaring straight ahead, tracing a long, graceful arc in the low sky, accurately striking a drone that was circling above. Bang! With a loud explosion, Yu Chengying quickly shut his eyes, covered his head, and crouched down. However, the explosion was not as immense as he had imagined. It resembled a blank shot, the sound muted. When he reopened his eyes, he saw a cloud of white smoke where the drone had been, which curiously shrank shortly thereafter. This single shot had taken out 3 of his drones. Yu Chengying was seething with rage. Which military district had the audacity to fire in the city? Just as he was about to unleash his fury, he heard another whoosh as another rocket artillery shot came in, destroying 3 more drones. Yu Chengying was dumbfounded. One incident could be seen as a mistake, but 2 was undeniably deliberate. Then, with another whoosh, yet another rocket artillery struck. This time, not just Yu Chengying, but even the operators were furious. They had invested countless days and nights into these drones. How could they be so callously destroyed? Chapter 66. The rocket artillery is abundant and can create sonic booms. Quick dodge. Don't let it hit. Yu Chengying gritted his teeth. The young man beside him was desperately maneuvering the last 4 drones in the air, but the limitations of their control system became evident. The drones' paths relied solely on human control, and it was exceedingly difficult to direct 4 drones in different directions in such a short span of time, resulting in all 4 drones flying in the same direction. The rocket artillery seemed to have a keen eye. Despite Yu Chengying's drones spiraling upward, they suddenly plummeted. This broad, extraordinary trajectory allowed the rocket artillery to quickly identify and adjust its aim, ultimately achieving a precise hit. Bang! The explosion was thunderous, smoke engulfing the entire area, only to rapidly dissipate afterward. As he watched the 4 drones descend to the ground, their bodies coated in frost, Yu Chengying's expression turned blank, his mouth gradually drooping. Tears nearly welling up, Secretary Dekong. Even if you look down on me, Yu Chengying, you cannot treat me with such disdain and insult. I believe I have performed my duties adequately. Moreover, these drones are the hard work of these young individuals. You simply destroyed them? Secretary Dekong was taken aback, instinctively responding. Didn't I just say I would compensate you? Huh, compensation. Yu Chengying sneered, and as he laughed, he suddenly realized something was amiss. Secretary Dekong had mentioned reimbursement, not funding. At that moment, Secretary Dekong caught on, speechless. Old Yu, I truly recognize your work. Otherwise, I wouldn't have called you here. However, the primary reason for summoning you today was actually to utilize your drones to test a new fire truck. Why else would the location be at the fire station? A fire truck? Secretary Dekong, where did this fire truck come from? Yu Chengying asked, bewildered. Secretary Dekong pointed to a nearby, turbine fire cannon vehicle. That right there. Yu Chengying followed his finger, and to his shock, the vehicle that had just launched rockets to destroy the drones was indeed the rocket artillery vehicle. He was instantly bewildered. No, Secretary Dekong. Even if you are the secretary, you cannot confuse a deer for a horse. This is clearly a rocket artillery vehicle. No, this is indeed a fire truck. It just extinguishes fires by launching rockets. Secretary Dekong explained. Yu Chengying was even more perplexed. Who in their right mind uses a rocket artillery to put out fires? At that moment, a young man beside him frowned and said, however, that rocket could be precisely guided, and the cost of a precision-guided missile is exorbitant. usually around 1 million. It's clearly a military weapon being repurposed for civilian use. Secretary DeKong paused, realizing, indeed, that cost is quite high. But there's also something off, because the total cost for the modification is only 1.2 million. Does a precision-guided missile really cost 1 million? There must be some hidden secrets. Just then, Yi Bai drove the vehicle over, smiling. You're right. It is indeed precision-guided, but it tracks heat sources. For the small heat signature of a drone, it actually uses radar guidance. Radar? Who in the world installs radar on a fire truck? The young man exclaimed. His mouth agape. A radar is not cheap either. Yi Bai nodded. Exactly. The fire truck is equipped with radar primarily to detect falling objects from the sky. And it also has loudspeakers to warn people to evade. If evasion isn't possible and lives are at stake, it can launch guided rockets to give civilians more time to escape. Normally, it uses heat source guidance. Goodness, Yu Qingying exclaimed. This is indeed a firefighting rocket artillery truck. However, Yang Xiaomin, who had followed along, shook his head. Your idea is quite good, but there's still one flaw. The range is too short, and the radar detection range is limited. Yi Bai couldn't help but chuckle. Academician Yang, don't mislead me. This is a civilian fire truck, so of course, it cannot have a long range. If the radar detection range were extensive, it wouldn't be at this price. If we were to showcase the true performance of the turbine fire cannon vehicle, it would likely be a case of the truck being produced in the morning and the personnel being conscripted by night. Secretary DeKong nodded, indeed. Suddenly, Yang Xiaomin added. Then, Comrade Yi Bai, hypothetically, if a factory were to catch fire, would your rocket artillery still be useful? If one shot isn't enough, can I fire a volley? Even if this truck runs out of 32 shots, there's still a second truck. And we could even have a transport fire truck equipped with rocket artillery trailing behind. Abundance is key, Yi Bai replied. Yang Xiaomin raised an eyebrow, realizing there was really nothing to criticize. In summary, this fire truck, aside from being a bit pricey, was excellent in every regard. Moreover, I also have turbines. This fire truck is essentially a turbine fire rocket artillery vehicle. Yi Bai added. Turbine. Yang Xiaomin was taken aback, incredulously asking. Is it equipped with a space engine turbine? That's impossible. This fire truck is so compact, it lacks the space. Oh, Yi Bai sighed. That thing is impractical. It's too loud, has a long lead time, and the output is just foam, with a range of merely 7 centimeters. No, 7 meters. It's simply a waste of money. My turbine is different. It can produce sonic booms. Yi Bai declared proudly, hands on his hips. Hearing this, everyone exchanged glances. Secretary DeKong stepped forward, frowning. Comrade Yi Bai, we trust in your technological prowess, but for a vehicle to produce sonic booms, no land vehicle can achieve that. To break the sound barrier, one must exceed the speed of sound, which, as everyone knows, is 340 ms or 1,224 km/h at standard sea level. Even the livestream audience felt that Yi Bai was boasting. Yi Bai smiled, glancing at Sun Ling. Do you believe my vehicle can produce sonic booms? The sudden question made Sun Ling's eyes widen, her face flushing red as she stared at Yi Bai, taking a long moment before replying. I suppose I believe? Yi Bai maintained a stern expression. Believing means you believe. Doubting means you don't. What do you mean by I suppose I believe? Do you long for the blossoming of spring? Apologies, boss. Sun Ling's eyes shimmered with tears as she spoke with a sense of grievance. I believe. But why must we insist on belief? Yi Bai responded. Sun Ling's tears welled up even more. So should I believe or not? With a playful flick of his finger, Yi Bai lightly tapped Sun Ling's forehead and cheerfully said, guess. He then leaned against the car window and addressed the crowd with a booming voice. Since you all doubt, I shall demonstrate. Cover your ears. Upon saying this, he turned around and pressed the accelerator with force. The tires of the fire truck screeched against the pavement. The engine roared, producing waves of sound. Feeling the scorching heat and deafening noise, Secretary DeKong could not help but gasp. Could it be that Comrade Yi Bai could truly create a sonic boom? Secretary Jin Yang's expression was grave. He managed to produce a plasma fluid barrier and a nickel-based superalloy. It's not impossible. Damn! Exclaimed the young drone operator, startling everyone. Observing the young man covering his ears and crouching down, the roar of the fire truck's engine reached its peak. Within those brief seconds, whether it was Academician Yang Xiaomin, Police Secretary Zhang Jing, or Secretary DeKong of Huadu, they all instinctively crouched down to shield their ears and avoid potential harm. Soon, the anticipated sound arrived. Whoosh. Chapter 67. Clear the launch platform. An exhilarating test. The immense noise caused everyone to tense up. However, the subsequent sound of rushing water made them furrow their brows. Watching the fire truck speed by while simultaneously spraying water, Secretary Dekong was dumbfounded. Remarkably, Yi Bai drove the fire truck in a complete circle before coming to a stop, maintaining a constant speed throughout. Secretary Dekong, at a loss for words, remarked that the speed was comparable to an ordinary fire truck. Indeed, it was slightly faster, but at this pace, he dared to claim it produced a sonic boom? Yi Bai chuckled. Who said a sonic boom must be about speed? Did you not see those cascading water rings? From the front. Doesn't it resemble the physical phenomenon created during a sonic boom? Secretary Dekong was taken aback, struggling to comprehend Yi Bai's statement. Ha! Academician Yang Xiaoman laughed heartily. You, young comrade, are indeed quite amusing. The essence of a sonic boom is a physical phenomenon of air, resulting from an aircraft flying at supersonic speeds, creating a strong shockwave. The auditory sensation is akin to a thunderous explosion, with a conical shockwave at the rear, also known as a Mach cone, causing a sudden drop in pressure and temperature, leading to water vapor instantaneously condensing into a conical mist. It does bear some resemblance to your circular water spray. Live stream viewers commented. Very well. The main host has improved and dares to jest with the academicians and secretaries. But to be fair, I just saw that scene reflected through the glass of the fire department's hall, and it truly resembled a sonic boom. The sound of water was spectacular. I almost thought the main host had genuinely developed a fire truck capable of producing a sonic boom. I can't believe I was deceived. Who can I hold accountable for this? Ha! The live stream audience soared to 111. It seems Academician Yang is quite knowledgeable. Yi Bai added, moreover, my turbojet fire cannon truck can not only strike at long distances, but also charge in close combat. Unlike this mountain forest behemoth, it can swiftly dive into the heart of the flames. If it were another fire truck, it could charm meat. Suddenly, Yi Bai lowered his voice and spoke mysteriously. But do you know the most crucial point? It can also be converted for riot control, especially in nations like Eagle Sauce and Rooster of Gaul. There is a definite market for it, effectively safeguarding their picturesque landscapes. My goodness! Secretary Dekong exclaimed. He swiftly positioned himself in front of Yi Bai. Speaking earnestly, Comrade Yi Bai, we are currently live. You must refrain from saying such things in the stream. Of course, as the Secretary of Huadu, I must clarify that those remarks were not made at my behest. Regarding Comrade Yi Bai's ideas, I can only say they are somewhat misguided. I will ensure the Ministry of Education provides guidance afterward. Everyone must also enhance self-restraint to avoid negative repercussions. Yi Bai nodded and earnestly addressed the camera. Secretary Dekong is correct. Do not emulate me. However, business opportunities still exist. We shall not produce riot control vehicles. Just fire trucks. As for what they become overseas, that is beyond my control. Wouldn't you agree? The live stream viewers responded. Well said, a bold main host. And a very survival-oriented secretary. But honestly, business abroad is indeed lucrative. Chaos reigns on the streets, and there are Chinese expatriates selling stir-fried noodles. If someone were to hurl a Molotov cocktail, wouldn't this water-spraying fire truck be perfectly suited for the occasion? 666. Our main host is truly visionary. Eyeing the international market early on. Quick, when will the link be available? I want to buy one right now. Not for anything else, but to protect their beautiful landscapes abroad. A flurry of comments flooded the live stream, with many requesting links and eager to purchase. This sparked an idea in Yi Bai's mind. Why not seize this wave of opportunity and create a product for the viewers to buy? Although the progress of modifying the upgraded vehicle was slightly delayed, earning ample money would allow him to upgrade the repair shop and acquire better equipment, ultimately accelerating the system task for modifications. Yes, that was something to prioritize after Secretary Dekong collected the vehicle. At that moment, Academician Yang Xiaoman stroked his chin and said seriously, well, let us not rush into exporting yet. We Haven Tea resolved domestic sales. Young genius Yi Bai, who excels both in profit and research, please remain calm. Since we are testing, should we not test thoroughly? Yi Bai was taken aback, puzzled. What do you mean by testing thoroughly? Don't you have so many rocket launchers? Why not fire them all? We could set up a bonfire there. Let us clear all the rocket launchers on the platform and see what effect it produces, Yang Xiaoman stated earnestly. Yi Bai scratched his head, surveying the area, and replied lightly. Actually, just 10 rocket launchers would suffice to cover this area completely. Utilizing so many is rather extravagant. Of course, these rocket launchers are not very expensive. Only a few thousand yuan each. No. For our experiment, we should spend where necessary and save where possible. If this area is insufficiently large, we can always relocate to a larger venue. Yang Xiaoman insisted. All right, Yi Bai frowned. Just then, Secretary Dekong approached Yi Bai and whispered, Comrade Yi Bai, It's evident that Academician Yang is quite interested in your fire cannon truck. To boost your sales, and as a gesture of appreciation for Academician Yang, who has spent long hours in the lab, you could indulge a bit and satisfy his curiosity. Upon hearing this, Yi Bai's eyes lit up. It turned out Academician Yang was quite intrigued. He wanted to use the guise of an experiment to inspect the vehicle while enjoying the spectacle, all without violating any national regulations. The key was that this involved simultaneous rocket fire. Who wouldn't want to witness such power? Initially, he feared it would create too much commotion and be criticized, but now it seemed everyone was on the same page. Before long, under Secretary de Kong's direction, the athletic field was filled with over 40 blazing bonfires. Subsequently, Secretary de Kong flashed a smile at Yi Bai, giving him a thumbs up. Coughing gently, Yi Bai cleared his throat and addressed the camera held by Sun Ling, who had exited the vehicle and was positioned at a medium distance. Since everyone is eager to witness the formidable power, no, the extinguishing capability of my upgraded turbojet firefighting rocket launcher, I shall now empty the launch rack for an exhilarating test. It's showtime. Chapter 68. The firing rate surpasses that of active rocket launcher vehicles. Can this be called civilian? With this proclamation, Yi Bai decisively pressed the fire button. Possessing the skill of a master gunner, he handled both single fire and rapid fire with remarkable ease, a fact that went unnoticed by the onlookers. Simultaneously, Academician Yang Xiaomin pressed the stopwatch with determination. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. A white flame trailed behind as the rocket launcher unleashed a barrage of projectiles from its launch rack at breakneck speed, targeting various locations within a 90-degree arc. Yi Bai executed a saturated strike using dry ice rockets. After previously expending 4 rounds, he had a total of 32 rounds available, thus launching a staggering 28 rounds in a matter of mere seconds. In an instant, the rockets reached their designated targets. Bang, 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 bang. Within a span of 300 to 400 square meters of flames, a series of pure white mushroom clouds rose, resembling a scene from a fairyland. But soon after, these clouds collapsed into small puffs, emitting wisps of white smoke, as if they had burnt out or withered away, resembling a cluster of toxic mushrooms. The flames within were mercilessly extinguished by these soft mushroom clouds, yet anyone who underestimated their gentleness would soon find themselves frostbitten and bruised. Ding, shock value 5 ding. Shock value 6, ding, shock value 4. Witnessing such a shocking spectacle, both the audience present and those watching the live stream could not help but marvel. If a dry ice rocket launcher can create such a grand scene, what would a real rocket barrage look like? How magnificent it must be. As the crowd continued to ponder this, Academician Yang Xiaomin was the first to express his admiration, exclaiming, "Excellent." A total of 28 rockets were launched in just 28 seconds, nearly 1 round per second, achieving a firing rate of 60 rounds per minute. This is faster than the most powerful active rocket launchers in the world. At first, the crowd was indifferent, but the latter part of Yang's statement caused a stir. Faster than any active rocket launcher? Secretary de Kong furrowed his brow and inquired, "Academician Yang, what is the firing rate of the fastest rocket launcher in the world?" Yang Xiaomin's eyes sparkled with excitement as he replied, 12 rounds per minute. For instance, our country's PHL-191 has a firing rate of 8 to 12 rounds per minute due to its modular design and precision targeting. Meanwhile, the Eagle Nation's M270 MLRS also fires at a rate of 12 rounds per minute. Yi Bai's rocket launcher, however, achieves an astounding 60 rounds per minute, an increase of 5 times the firing rate. Do you understand what this means? It signifies that in a firefight with equivalent rocket launchers, we can entirely overpower any enemy with our firepower. It represents a true super firepower coverage. At that moment, regardless of whether it was Secretary de Kong, the audience present, or those watching the live stream, including Yi Bai himself, they all gasped in astonishment. Could it be that the firing rate exceeds that of active rocket launcher vehicles? Is this truly a civilian fire truck? Especially for Yi Bai, he felt a profound sense of regret. Why did he agree to the barrage? In a moment of recklessness, he had inadvertently revealed a fraction of the fire truck's capabilities. Oh no, this vehicle is bound to be appropriated by the military, exporting it to the Eagle Nation or the Gallant Rooster. That is utterly impossible. Exporting it to the Doghouse or the Barbary Sheep might still hold some potential. But is that even a fire truck? It's nothing short of a new type of rocket launcher. Yi Bai? Suddenly, Yang Xiaomin approached swiftly, gripping the fire truck's door handle with one hand and firmly grasping Yi Bai's shoulder with the other, tears streaming down his face. On behalf of the nation, the military, and the people, I thank you for developing this epic-making rocket launcher. Yi Bai, drenched in cold sweat, awkwardly stammered, "It's a fire truck, just a fire truck." Secretary De Kong chimed in with a smile. Comrade Yi Bai, there's no need for humility. Being appropriated by the military is undoubtedly an honor. Yi Bai's cold sweat intensified, practically drenching him. Well, whether the military finds it suitable is another matter. After all, my Yunshao Auto Repair Factory is a private enterprise, not a military-industrial complex. Yang Xiaoman laughed. As long as you wish, it could be a military-industrial enterprise by tomorrow. No, I don't want that. I think being a private enterprise is quite good, Yi Bai insisted. Hearing this, Yang Xiaoman's expression shifted to one of surprise. Secretary De Kong quickly whispered, Academician Yang. The younger generation is quite different from ours, especially since Yi Bai's family is quite affluent. Yang Xiaoman suddenly understood, smiling wryly. Indeed, private enterprises have their merits. As for how this fire truck is utilized, that falls to our Dragon Science Institute. Yi Bai's eyes lit up, quickly interjecting, Academician Yang. The technical patent fees must not be overlooked. We will certainly provide that. Yang Xiaoman replied with an exasperated shake of his head. A smile crept across Yi Bai's lips, for if that were the case, he could indeed promote the fire truck nationwide. Once Secretary De Kong received the vehicle, he could propose this plan, and it would undoubtedly yield immense profits. No, why wait until the vehicle is received? I should mention it now. Secretary De Kong. Just as Yi Bai was about to speak, an urgent alarm suddenly blared throughout the fire station. The high-pitched electric siren pierced through the surrounding noise, easily waking even those who were asleep. Secretary De Kang's expression turned grave as he called out, This is a fire alarm from the fire station. Everyone, please make way. The fire truck is about to be deployed. A fire alarm? Yi Bai could hardly believe that just as the fire truck was completed, a fire alarm would sound. The crucial point was that he had just expended all the rocket rounds. Ding ding. His phone rang. It was his uncle, Xiao Yinshan. Upon answering, Xiao Yinshan cheerfully inquired, Nephew, when will the fire truck arrive here? The children at the kindergarten, along with the teachers and parents, have been waiting for quite some time. Oh, I should be there shortly, Yi Bai sighed, recalling his earlier promise to his uncle to bring the fire truck to Inkai Kindergarten for a demonstration. A plan he had confirmed with Secretary De Kong. After hanging up, Yi Bai approached Secretary De Kong, who was engaged in an intense phone conversation with another person. Director Liu, you need to return to the fire station immediately. The provincial training must be put on hold. There is an urgent fire alarm, and it seems quite serious. Or else the fire station wouldn't be sounding the alarms. Secretary De Kong urged. On the other end, Fire Station Director Lu Bo sighed. Secretary De Kong. I have already grasped the situation. There is a fire at Princess Mountain behind Huadu. It's our Huadu's back garden, a well-known forest park, and there are tourists there. I am on my way there now. A mountain fire? Was it caused by the tourists? Do we know the source of the fire? Secretary De Kong asked. Lu Bo replied, From the origin of the fire, we can rule out human error, as the ignition point is on a high peak. During the previous typhoon, that area was struck by lightning, causing trees to char and igniting easily combustible debris. Now, with the high temperatures, it has spontaneously ignited. Secretary De Kong felt a slight easing of his heart, considering that instances of wildfires across the nation each year are not uncommon. At that moment, Lu Bo interjected. However, once that small peak ignited, the flames rapidly spread towards the visitor center. To my knowledge, there are no fewer than 30 tourists trapped there. They attempted to exit from the VIP lounge, but the observation glass was too sturdy to shatter. With the flames advancing and vehicles unable to escape, they could only huddle in the ticket office. Unfortunately, we lack the necessary vehicles to evacuate them. Nonetheless, we shall exhaust every conceivable means. Over 30 tourists, trapped in the ticket office amidst a wildfire? Secretary De Kong was instantly taken aback. Chapter 69, Tourists Trapped in the Wildfire? A call to action. Can't a helicopter come to their rescue? A helicopter to combat the fire and then save them? Regaining his composure, Secretary De Kong said, No, it won't work. On the other end of the line, Lu Bo sighed. I've already inquired with the armed police. They are currently conducting helicopter firefighting drills, but given the distance, by the time they arrive, they would be engulfed in smoke and ash. You must summon them. Is there not a significant difference between inaction and effort? Secretary De Kong exclaimed angrily. Lu Bo paused for a moment before responding. Should I call them over now? No need for you to call. I will go personally. Secretary De Kong decisively retrieved another phone and made a call. Afterward, he turned to Lu Bo and said, Now, you must think of another solution while I do the same. We cannot afford to lose any lives. Those tourists must not come to harm. Lu Bo took a deep breath and replied gravely, Secretary De Kong, I will do my utmost. The call ended. Just as Secretary De Kong was about to turn away, he noticed Yi Bai right in front of him, with a glimpse at the fire truck behind him. His spirits lifted. Comrade Yibai, do you see? Secretary Dekong did not need to elaborate. I modified and upgraded this fire truck precisely to assist the people in times of disaster. Now is the moment for me to take action. How could I stand idly by? Yibai declared resolutely. Secretary Dekong exhaled deeply, a grateful smile gracing his face. He recalled Yibai's previous commendation for bravery when he stood up against drug traffickers. Perhaps this is Yibai's essence. Despite being avaricious and lecherous in critical moments, his stance remains unwavering, with justice forever in his heart. Comrade Yibai, you are commendable. Regardless of success or failure, I, Dekong, respect and thank you. Secretary Dekong expressed sincerely. Indeed, Yibai nodded and then dialed his uncle, Xiao Yunshan. The call connected. Xiao Yunshan chuckled. Hello, my little nephew. So, where are you now? Yibai replied sternly. Uncle, I require your assistance. What is the matter? Xiao Yunshan asked, concerned. Yibai explained, currently, over 30 tourists are trapped in the ticket office at Princess Mountain. I can clear the way with the fire truck, but to evacuate them, I need your kindergarten bus. Huh, what? On the other end, Xiao Yunshan was taken aback. Are you joking? There is a wildfire happening. I assure you, uncle. Yibai sighed. After a moment of hesitation, Xiao Yunshan continued. My nephew, it takes at least 40 minutes to get from the fire station to the ticket office at Princess Mountain. By then, even if they aren't scorched, they may succumb to smoke inhalation. Moreover, that is the firefighter's job. Why would you, a civilian, risk your life? Uncle. Yibai reproached. The rise and fall of the nation is the responsibility of every individual. When our compatriots are in distress, how can I, Yibai, turn a blind eye and do nothing? Furthermore, I possess the capability to assist. If I do not take the risk, how can I know I cannot save them? Xiao Yunshan frowned. But don't you wish to maintain your reputation with the parents? And these children, they're eagerly anticipating seeing your fire truck. Lives are at stake. Uncle, the fire truck can be showcased later. The live stream can capture it afterward. This time, consider it a debt I owe you. With that, Yibai hung up the phone. Upon seeing Yibai return to the fire truck, Sun Ling hurriedly asked, Boss, are we heading to Princess Mountain next? Yibai frowned. No, I will go. You must return to the repair shop. What? Am I not live streaming? Sun Ling queried, puzzled. You must return. There is a batch of dry ice rocket launchers that need to be transported. I am not at ease with anyone else going to the repair shop, Yibai stated. Sun Ling's eyes sparkled as she straightened her posture. Yes. Boss, I will accomplish the task. Go, Yibai instructed. Just after he finished giving orders to Sun Ling, he noticed Su Ning slipping into the passenger seat. Are you familiar with the ticket office at Princess Mountain? We can use navigation. Yibai replied. Su Ning pointed to her shoulder insignia and smiled. Allow me to pave the way for you. Very well, Yibai responded with a smile. Subsequently, with Su Ning leading the way on her blazing dragon motorcycle, Yibai drove the fire cannon truck onward. As they traversed the highway, Xiao Yunshan's kindergarten bus arrived as expected. Despite exchanging a glance, neither spoke, but their silent understanding resonated deeply between the uncle and nephew. The number of viewers in the live stream surged from a mere 2,000 or 3,000 to an astonishing 7,000 or 8,000. Many new viewers, curious about the nature of the broadcast, were astounded to learn from longtime followers that the host, Yibai, was en route to rescue individuals. Their astonishment only deepened when they discovered that this remarkable rocket truck was, in fact, a fire truck. At that moment, all 7,000 or 8,000 viewers sat in rapt attention, lighting candles in the live stream, praying for those trapped in the ticket office, hoping that their ancestors and fallen heroes would protect their fellow countrymen. Fortunately, after a period of travel, they finally arrived at Princess Mountain. Upon witnessing the situation firsthand, everyone in the live stream could hardly contain their emotions. On a nearby peak, thick black smoke billowed, as if the sun itself were unleashing its wrath upon Princess Mountain. A fiery arrow shot down, tearing through the delicate surface of the mountain, mercilessly scorching it. One fire truck after another parked at the mountain's base, while firefighters, burdened with heavy hoses, trudged up the rugged path towards the ticket office. On one side lay the rapidly advancing flames, while on the other, the firefighters struggled up the slope, seemingly destined for disaster in this Princess Mountain wildfire. Just then, a blue and white police motorcycle sped onto the scene. Su Ning, riding her blazing dragon motorcycle with great speed, skillfully maneuvered around the fire trucks and scattered equipment, locating the person in charge of Princess Mountain. A balding man in a black polo shirt wearing glasses. Do you have a map of the visitor center? Where is the ticket office specifically located? Su Ning hurriedly inquired. The man sighed, expressing his helplessness. It's futile. Riding your motorcycle in there would be in vain. and the path up the mountain is entirely stairs. The entrance to the visitor center is blocked by burning trees, and now it's catching fire inside as well. We tried using dry ice extinguishers, but that little amount only put out one tree, and there are several trees of that size, not to mention that it's already ablaze inside. Alas, it's over. Utterly over. It cannot be saved. Su Ning caught a glimpse of the tourist map under the man, gritted her teeth, pushed him aside, snatched the map, took a glance, and then pointed towards the path up the mountain. Folding the map, she tucked it into her pocket and called out to Yi Bai, "The ticket office is at the top of the stairs. Turn right at the fork and go straight. There's a pile of trees blocking the entrance, but it's all right. I have your modified Blazing Dragon motorcycle. I will clear the way." Seeing Su Ning revving her engine and rushing forward, Yi Bai wasted no time and drove the fire truck straight up the stairs. Although the powerful engine and the immense weight had shattered the stairs, in such a life-and-death situation, there was no time to ponder. Chapter 70. The turbojet mode is activated. Not a single one can be left behind. Boom, boom, boom. Ascending the stairs to the summit of Princess Mountain, a blue and white police motorcycle charged through with reckless abandon. The descending tourists, witnessing the police motorcycle whizzing past, were nearly struck by a heart attack. Initially mistaking it for a ghostly apparition, they soon realized it was indeed a police vehicle, though the sound was not overwhelmingly loud. It echoed like the roar of a dragon. Who had ever seen such a flamboyant police car, more flamboyant than a ghostly blaze? Just as they began to breathe a sigh of relief, they turned to behold a rocket launcher vehicle approaching head-on. Well. Instead of colliding with a stroke of luck, they were met with a rocket launcher vehicle. But really, this is a tourist center, Princess Mountain. And here comes a rocket launcher vehicle? An older gentleman with a broad forehead was utterly bewildered. Behind him, a young man pointed to another gray vehicle down the mountain, exclaiming, "What's this? Look below, there's even a mobile office from Haonan. What the?" The elder turned back, instinctively trembling. At that moment, a robust voice echoed through the broadcast. "I am Daka, the secretary of Huadu. A fire has ignited on Princess Mountain, trapping over 30 tourists in the ticket office. The government has arranged vehicles for rescue. Please allow a path for escape. Thank you to the citizens of Huadu and the tourists visiting from afar." The tourists exclaimed in disbelief, but upon reflection, they were somewhat dazed, for had that ghostly blaze, rocket launcher vehicle, and Haonan mobile office truly come for rescue? Were they certain this was not part of a car-themed cosplay event? Live stream viewers commented, "I wonder if they will make it in time." Given the sweltering heat and the spontaneous fire, which has already consumed the tourist center, I fear those trapped may have perished from smoke inhalation. Sigh, while I am in an air-conditioned room, my body is cold, but my heart is aflame with worry for those trapped. It feels like a juxtaposition of ice and fire. I hope the main package can rescue them successfully. They will, they certainly will. Inside the turbojet fire rocket launcher vehicle, Yi Bai boldly maneuvered the rocket launcher upward. Had he not mastered this skill, he might not have been able to navigate such a treacherous slope today. To his astonishment, however, his uncle, Xiao Yunshan, was driving a kindergarten school bus. Yet he managed to keep pace behind him. His driving skills were truly remarkable. At that moment, Xiao Yunshan shouted from behind, "How much longer to the ticket office?" Yi Bai glanced at the seemingly endless road ahead, frowning. "It will take a little longer." "What's wrong, uncle?" I've got a pain in my rear end." Xiao Yunshan cursed. "Your rear end?" Yi Bai was taken aback. Then, realizing, he gasped, "Uncle, just endure a bit longer. I'll take you to Chengdu afterward. The proctologists there are exceptional. Get lost. I simply mean this rocky staircase is jostling my backside and causing me discomfort." Xiao Yunshan retorted anxiously. Yi Bai chuckled. Having hemorrhoids was one thing, but denying it was quite another. At that moment, the Blazing Dragon rider in front executed a sudden maneuver, entering a curve while activating a plasma fluid barrier. The two-story tourist center loomed ahead, yet it was obscured by dozens of fiercely burning trees. Numerous spent portable canister fire extinguishers littered the ground. Despite the efforts of several villagers pouring water, their actions were futile, causing them to slow down. "Break!" With a commanding shout, Su Ning urged the Blazing Dragon rider forward, the sharp plasma fluid barrier easily clearing the obstructing trees, swiftly carving a path through the smoke and flames. Without hesitation, Yi Bai activated the turbojet mode, the fire truck's body surrounded by waves of water spray. The plasma fluid barrier of the Blazing Dragon rider lasted only 30 seconds. He had to reach Su Ning before then, or she would succumb to the smoke and perish. The water cascaded upon the flames, emitting a sizzling sound, steam rising. Following closely behind, the kindergarten school bus arrived simultaneously at the entrance of the tourist center. The doors of the tourist center were forcefully breached by the blazing dragon rider, revealing a scene of chaos within. The ceiling was ablaze. Su Ning decisively shouted, "Head towards the VIP room below. We're here to rescue you." Coughing, she was soon choked by the smoke. Yi Bai promptly activated the fire truck's loudspeaker, solemnly declaring, "I am the Huadu fire rescue vehicle. I command everyone to board immediately. Otherwise, you will wait here to meet your demise. You have 10 seconds." The sudden countdown during this crisis sent the tourists huddled in the ticket office into a frenzy of panic. Yet, gazing at the flames and thick smoke outside the windows and from the ceiling, they dared not move. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. "It seems you do not wish to be rescued," Yi Bai stated coldly, then fell silent. As expected, someone soon rushed out, shouting, "Wait. I have a question. The fire hasn't been extinguished outside. How can you guarantee our safety? Even if there's a vehicle, we could still perish from the heat. What if the gasoline ignites and causes an explosion? We'd die even faster." Yi Bai followed the voice to see a man wearing a baseball cap, clad in tight, breathable, sun-protective hiking gear, peeking half his body out the door, his face a mask of panic, yet holding back any rash movements. Yi Bai pressed the turbojet switch, letting the fire truck spray water before replying calmly, "This is a fire assault vehicle equipped by the Huadu Fire Department, specifically designed for rescues. Moreover, the water supply in the vehicle is limited. Every second you delay diminishes your chances of survival, and I will not grant you ample time to contemplate, as I do not wish to be trapped here while trying to save you. Damn it, do you have no conscience? You call yourself a firefighter?" The man cursed, yet his body betrayed him as he was the first to dash outside. Witnessing this, the others inside were engulfed in panic. After all, the rescuers deemed that staying behind was a certain death sentence, and they could not be foolish enough to remain. Thus, the previously hesitant tourists surged toward the entrance in unison. Seeing them board, Yi Bai finally exhaled, then abruptly activated the turbojet mode, shouting, "Quick, change direction. Follow me. Hurry. Hurry, hurry. Today, everyone must get out successfully. Not a single person can be left behind." Chapter 71. The Inferno rages uncontrollably? My rocket launcher is not without advantage. At that moment, whether driving the kindergarten school bus or the police motorcycle, both Xiao Yunshan and Su Ning were intensely anxious. Their breaths were rapid and their palms slick with cold sweat. Yet, they dared not tremble, nor could they afford to relax, for a single misstep could lead to disaster. Even the tourists already aboard the school bus, gazing at the billowing smoke and raging flames outside the windows, remained taut with tension. Beads of sweat glistening on their faces as they stared ahead, not daring to let their guard down for even a moment. It was only when they finally burst forth from the sea of flames that they could hardly believe they had survived. After a lengthy pause, the realization struck them. They were alive. My God, I'm still here. I had already made my last call to my mother. This is unbelievable. How did this fire suddenly ignite? The survivors, grateful for another day of life, rejoiced. However, the viewers in the live stream were somewhat perplexed. Indeed, the main character saved lives, but his attitude was rather poor. Right? It felt as though he was indifferent to life. If I were to be scolded like this, I would truly feel quite displeased. Yi Bai was wholly focused on driving, with no time to attend to the barrage of comments. However, the newly appointed moderator, Peach, did not choose to indulge them. Immediately, they unleashed a barrage of criticism on the public screen. You lot are standing there with no pain in your backs. In such a perilous situation, gentle persuasion would have fallen on deaf ears. The main package chose the swiftest method to save lives, even at the risk of offending people. If it were you, could you even conceive of such an action, let alone dare to offend anyone? You probably wouldn't even have the chance to offend anyone, would you? The command skills of the main package are exceptional. Refrain from making reckless statements if you do not understand. After this outburst, many in the comments section appeared to awaken to the truth. Seeing this, Peach joyfully took a screenshot and shared it with Yi Bai, also messaging him on the green bubble. "Peach, I'm glad you called for me before your stream, although I was still asleep at the time. I woke up and promptly helped you manage the public sentiment. Am I not impressive?" While driving, Yi Bai glanced at the message and opened the image, only to be struck dumb with a mix of laughter and disbelief. He replied, "To Guangdong Car King. Thank you for covering for me. I'll return the favor." Peach, "Sure thing." Peach thongs, back view, squatting for a mirror selfie, high definition JPG. What the heck? Upon seeing the flawless skin and alluring curves, Yi Bai was utterly stunned, his mind momentarily blank. This is quite the audacious display, just as he intended to save it for later appreciation. He realized it had been retracted. "Peach, he almost got you there, just teasing you." To Guangdong Car King. It's just an image from the internet. How can you be so shameless? Peach, internet image, you say? Search online. If you find one that matches, I'll concede. I swear I've never sent this to anyone else. I won't send anything to anyone again. Wait, is that really the case? Yi Bai couldn't help but be taken aback. It seemed that Peach genuinely held him in high regard. Yet, having known him for such a short time, she dared to send such a thing. Would she call him master in the future? At that moment, Secretary Dakong, seeing that the tourists had been rescued, approached Yi Bai with tears streaming down his face, expressing his profound gratitude. Comrade Yi Bai, today, thanks to you, I could not have navigated this without your assistance. Even with the support of influential figures, I fear I would not have had a smooth journey. However, I am certain that, if no major incidents arise during the remainder of my term, we will meet again at the peak in Jinghai. Yi Bai nodded. Should there be over 30 deaths during his term, even if it were due to spontaneous combustion, Dakong, as the secretary, would bear the primary responsibility. What he saved today was not merely those 30-odd tourists, but also all the staff of Huadu, both great and small. Secretary Dakong, while the people have been saved, we must also find a way to extinguish the fire as quickly as possible. Yi Bai continued. Realizing the urgency, Secretary Dakong immediately shook himself out of his reverie. You're right. If we cannot control the fire, leading to a significant loss of forest area, it will amount to nothing. He turned to the arriving fire chief Lu Bo, asking, how many fire trucks have arrived? How many firefighters? How long until the armed police helicopter arrives? How long until we can extinguish the mountain fire? Lu Bo, drenched in cold sweat, replied, about 30 fire trucks and over 100 firefighters have arrived. The armed police helicopter should arrive in about an hour. The provincial fire brigade you contacted is also on the way, but with the dry weather and rampant flames, we can only rely on our own legs. At this rate, it may take at least 3 days. 3 days? Secretary Dakong's face fell. 3 days would be enough for him to face criticism. Accompanying them, academician Yang Xiaomin lamented. If it weren't for my moment of whimsy, we could have deployed dry ice rocket launchers to extinguish the fire. I never anticipated that I would cause such a significant loss to the country. Secretary Zhang Jing quickly reassured. Academician Yang, you have served the country diligently for decades. Without you, would we have achieved such advanced levels in the field of plasma technology so swiftly? Natural forest fires are unpredictable. Their occurrence is not your fault. There is no need for self-reproach. Yang Xiaomin glanced gratefully at Zhang Jing, but still felt overwhelming shame. Noticing a heavy-duty truck approaching, Yi Bai squinted slightly. Already formulating a plan, he approached Yang Xiaomin and calmly stated, Academician Yang, you truly need not feel guilty. The depletion of dry ice rocket launchers was within my preparations. I simply did not expect to encounter a mountain fire today. Fortunately, I had my assistant transport a batch of dry ice rocket launchers when I arrived. The flames are uncontrollable. My rocket launchers may be quite beneficial. The group was momentarily stunned by his bold declaration, unable to fathom that their savior had truly arrived. As the heavy-duty truck came to a stop at the foot of the mountain, Sun Ji Shui hurriedly alighted, calling out, Boss Yi, I'm here to help. My daughter summoned me, and I rushed to deliver cargo. I need everyone's assistance. Secretary Dakong, startled, promptly urged everyone. Quickly, let us all assist in transporting. He was the first to sprint forward, shouting, Master Sun, how many rocket launchers do we have? As Sun Ji Shui unlocked the truck's cover, he frowned. I'm not sure, but I loaded everything from the inventory. I'm afraid it won't be enough. Excellent. Entrusting this task to Sun Ling was indeed the right decision. Yi Bai felt a surge of excitement. He had meticulously prepared 300 dry ice rocket launchers, initially intending to use them for personal amusement, never anticipating that they would come in handy now. With this batch of dry ice rocket launchers, a mere mountain fire would not dare to bark. Chapter 72, Flattening the Mountain Fire. A staggering 6 million shock value. Yi Bai swiftly returned to the fire truck, operating the launch platform, aiming at the recently occupied tourist center, awaiting everyone to load the rocket launchers. The loading process, though seemingly straightforward, involved several steps. Sun Ling, with limited strength, could only lift one rocket launcher with Su Ning's assistance. First, they needed to align the launch tube with the rail of the firing platform using a hydraulic hoist. Then engage the locking mechanism at the bottom of the launch tube with the directional tube. Upon hearing a click, they would activate the electric bolt to tighten it automatically. Finally connecting the launch tube with the fire control cable. Only then would one be considered loaded. Everyone, don't rush, take your time. Slow is fast. It's better to sacrifice time than to make mistakes. With their previous success, Sun Ling hurriedly taught everyone how to operate. At that moment, regardless of rank, Secretary Dakong, Lu Bo, Sun Ji Shui, Yang Xiaomin, and others all diligently worked to load the rocket launchers. As they were all novices without extensive training, it took a full 20 minutes to load all 32 rocket launchers. Fire! From the driver's seat, Yi-Bai roared, pressing the button. And the rocket launchers on the vehicle fired. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. One by one, dry ice rocket launchers soared into the sky, trailing long white smoke. Swiftly heading towards the source of the fire, they rained down in dense formation, creating an overwhelming sense of pressure. The firefighters, who were painstakingly climbing the mountain with hoses and extinguishers, looked up in shock at the commotion above them. What on earth? They were extinguishing a fire. And suddenly Princess Mountain was under artillery fire? At that moment, the first dry ice rocket launcher struck the ground. Boom! A tremendous sound echoed, followed by the thunderous impact of 31 additional rocket launchers. Boom, 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 boom. Puffs of white smoke erupted throughout the forest. The firefighters, initially contemplating retreat to evade danger, were momentarily frozen in place upon witnessing the billowing white smoke. Dry ice. It was dry ice. Someone had launched dry ice with a rocket launcher. How marvelous! The wildfire was saved. One firefighter exclaimed. The others, however, were left bewildered, questioning the possibility of such a combination of dry ice and a rocket launcher. It had been taught in textbooks. Yet, the fastest among them, with keen eyes, noticed that the area where the dry ice rocket had landed was extinguishing the fire at a visibly rapid pace, creating an expansive vacuum zone. Effective. This dry ice rocket launcher was indeed effective. Load it. Continue loading. Do not stop, urged Yi-Bai from below the slope through the vehicle's loudspeaker. Exhausted from loading the first wave, Secretary Dekong and his companions were panting heavily, only to be terrified to discover that what took them over 10 minutes to load was expended by Yi-Bai in less than a minute. Oh no! I can't take it anymore. My old back. Phew. Secretary Dekong collapsed on the ground, drenched in sweat and gasping for breath. A nearby reporter swiftly captured this moment with a click of his camera. Hearing the shudder, Yi-Bai was enraged and shouted through the car window, "Stop taking photos. If you have time, hurry up and help load. Otherwise, do not take pictures." The reporter, startled by Yi-Bai's outburst, quickly snapped another close-up shot. Yi-Bai was left speechless, wondering if reporters nowadays had such strong mental resilience, or perhaps they were simply lonely at home. Without hesitation, he jumped out of the car, snatched the reporter's camera, and scolded, "I told you not to take pictures. Come help load." The reporter frowned and replied, "But my role at disaster sites is to document facts, convey information, and supervise rescue efforts, not to directly participate in disaster relief. Moreover, I am not a professional artilleryman." Yi-Bai glared, pointing at the crowd behind him, and furiously retorted, "Is Secretary Hua Du a professional? Is the academician from Lonka Institute a professional? Is the fire chief a professional? If someone is starving and you have a leftover piece of bread in your pocket, will you still choose to stand by and report your nonsense news instead of helping?" The reporter was left blushing and speechless, unable to contain himself. Yi-Bai dragged the reporter toward the heavy-duty truck, grabbed a rocket launcher, and commanded, "Hurry, you carry the front, I'll take the back." The reporter, looking quite aggrieved, nonetheless chose to carry the rocket launcher forward. Soon, the second round of rocket launches commenced, followed by the third, fourth, and up to the seventh round, totaling 224 dry ice rockets that finally quelled the wildfire. The once blazing area was now blanketed in frost, but under the scorching sun, the liquid nitrogen gradually absorbed heat and began to dissipate. In a few days, the area would return to normal. Observing this scene, academician Yang Xiaomin marveled. This rocket launcher fire truck is not only efficient and convenient, but also safe and environmentally friendly. I initially sought advice on whether plasma fluid barriers could intercept missiles, but now it seems I should first thoroughly understand and promote this fire truck. After all, with the numerous wildfires across the country each year, such an efficient rocket launcher vehicle is desperately needed. However, in some large forested areas, the range of this rocket launcher is still insufficient and requires further improvement. Yi-Bai replied cheerfully, "Why not let the state continue to enhance and upgrade it? I can provide the prototype and technology, and the state can build the factory, then share the profits with me." Yang Xiaomin looked at Yi-Bai with excitement. "Are you truly willing to share this technology with the state?" "It's not exactly sharing. There will be a cost." "Of course, and it will require payment," Yi-Bai replied nonchalantly. Currently, he only had a small, dilapidated factory, incapable of mass-producing fire trucks. If he could leverage the state's strength to manufacture and sell fire trucks, the profits might be slightly less, but overall earnings would surpass the effort of producing them one by one. Additionally, Entrusting it to a contract factory was not entirely reassuring. Once the funds were secured, he would definitely establish his own factory. Money is no problem. This is a matter of national benefit and public good. I believe the state will provide ample support. Yang Xiaomin asserted confidently. Secretary de Kong also promised. Currently, you, Yi Bai, are a benefactor to the entire Huadu district. Your matters are of utmost importance to us. Excellent. With this, all obstacles ahead would be cleared, and he merely needed to wait for the profits to roll in. If a fire rocket truck could net him 300,000, he would need to produce at least 100 units, amounting to 30 million. A net profit of 30 million. Damn it, 3 million must be given to my dad? No way. I need to find a way to ensure that what my dad receives is not 10%, but only 1%, otherwise. It's too much of a loss. Yi Bai pondered, realizing there was still time before the fire trucks were delivered, so there was no need to rush. When he checked his shock value, he was astonished to find that the shock value gained this time had reached an astounding 6 million. Compared to last time, it had doubled. Chapter 73. The helicopter squad just arrived. The fire is already out? So, it must be due to the pure desire of Sun Ling. Otherwise, it might have been like last time, only netting 3 million shock value. Yi Bai felt incredibly fortunate. At that moment, a system notification echoed in his mind. Ding. Detected that the cumulative shock value obtained by the host has reached 10 million. Unlocked a new feature in the stage laboratory, Independent Research and Development. Independent Research and Development consumes shock value to develop a technology that surpasses the current level of science and technology. The more advanced the technology, the more shock value and time required for development. Yi Bai explored the Independent Research and Development feature and discovered it encompassed everything from something as small as a ballpoint pen refill to as grand as an aircraft carrier or intercontinental ballistic missile. Moreover, it could be autonomously developed by laboratory machines without his conscious involvement, albeit at a relatively high cost. For a pen refill technology, 100,000 shock value was required. With an efficacy lasting for 10 years without deterioration or ink blockage due to prolonged disuse or excessive dryness, taking 3 days to develop. Given the current high temperatures, many netizens wearing plastic shoes found them sticking to the ground after just a minute or two of standing, so I opted to develop a firefighting technology. After much contemplation, Yi Bai recognized that the dangers of high-temperature fires far outweighed the conveniences of daily life. After perusing the Independent Research and Development list, he finally found a product perfectly aligned with his needs, a portable rocket launcher fire extinguisher. It only required 1 million shock value to develop, and its power was hardly inferior to that of a rocket launcher. Not only could firefighters use it, but also the general public. It could be deemed an essential safety item for every household. Crucially, the cost could be kept around 35 yuan, while the retail price could easily exceed 1,000 yuan. Still, for the benefit of the families in the live stream, it could be directly priced at 128. Just 128 yuan for a portable rocket launcher fire extinguisher to take home. Perhaps the emergence of this product could catapult the previously overlooked fire extinguisher into sales that surpass, or even dwarf, that of condoms. After all, nothing could be larger than a rocket launcher. Nothing could be more exhilarating than a rocket launcher. And nothing could be safer than a rocket launcher. Yi Bai could already envision how immensely popular it would become. And he immediately spent 1 million shock value to develop the portable rocket launcher fire extinguisher. Just 3 days. It would only take 3 days to acquire this technology. Furthermore, with the new product launch, a wave of shock value online, coupled with Sun Ling's enhancement and the word-of-mouth phenomenon after buyers take it home, wouldn't the shock value soar like a rocket? This side quest was definitely a go for Yi Bai. At this moment, Uncle Xiao Yunshan, radiating with joy, approached Yi Bai, exclaiming, "My dear nephew, you are about to become famous." "Oh, how so?" Yi Bai, returning to his senses, inquired curiously. With great excitement, Xiao Yunshan replied, "Your dramatic footage of directing the firefighting efforts from the vehicle, alongside the scene of Secretary de Kong completely exhausted on the ground, will be featured as the headline in our Huadu Daily. You are sure to gain local renown. Your father and my sister will undoubtedly be thrilled." Yi Bai felt a wave of confusion wash over him. Surely, his parents were still in the Maldives at this moment. Given that their social media had not been updated for over 2 weeks, most likely still oblivious to the events unfolding. Moreover, you have now become a hero in the eyes of the kindergarten children. Driving a rocket launcher to save lives is simply awe-inspiring. The parents are clamoring to meet you. Xiao Yunshan continued. Perplexed, Yi Bai pondered, what do they want to meet me for? With a grin, Xiao Yunshan explained, what else? They are affluent families, of course. They want their vehicles to be safer. Moreover, Our principal has suggested organizing a parent meeting, specifically requesting your presence as the star of the show. Goodness, Yibai exclaimed. He had initially thought he would not have the opportunity to perform drills at the kindergarten and thus would not earn the parents' favor. Yet, here they were, seeking him out. With potentially hundreds of parents, even if only a handful were interested, that could translate into millions in business. Oh, the frustration he had felt earlier was now replaced with exhilaration. Orders were flooding in, and the system upgrade tasks were imminent. Uncle, what are we waiting for? There's no time like the present. Let us head to the kindergarten today and turn the firefighting drill into a parent meeting. Yibai suggested with a sly smile. Ha ha ha, let us go. I'll drive you. Xiao Yinshan laughed heartily. At that moment, the sky above Princess Mountain was suddenly filled with a series of popping sounds. The crowd looked up to see several armed police helicopters circling above, carrying water tanks. But they remained suspended in the air without further action. One of the white helicopters fortuitously blocked Yibai's path as he was about to leave. Sitting in the school bus, Xiao Yinshan rolled down the window and shouted, "Please make way. We need to get out." To their dismay, the helicopter's rotor blades not only ceased to spin but came to a complete stop as a middle-aged man clad in dark blue police attire stepped out. Time had etched its marks upon his face, yet his chiseled features still radiated a sharpness. The man called out, "We are here to assist with the firefighting efforts. However, we have not observed any flames on Princess Mountain. Yet, there are evident signs of forest fires. Can you provide clarity on the situation?" Xiao Yinshan replied urgently. "No need for assistance. The fire is already extinguished. We handled it ourselves. We have urgent matters to attend to, so please return from whence you came." The man's expression darkened immediately. He stood there, silent and unmoving. Just then, Secretary Dekong approached the middle-aged man with warmth, patting him on the shoulder and saying, "Old Duan, I'm afraid this trip has been in vain. While there was indeed a fire on Princess Mountain, it has been extinguished." The man, identified as Duanda, could not help but show surprise at Secretary Dekong's words. "Really? It's extinguished? But this was a fire that could burn for 3 days." Secretary Dekong's expression turned serious as he gently rebuked, "If it could be extinguished in 3 hours, did you intend to stretch it to 3 days to claim credit? As public servants, should we not strive for diligence and responsibility? That is not my intention. I am merely curious about how you managed to extinguish the flames." Duanda retreated a step, pleading. With a knowing smile, Secretary Dekong shifted his gaze to Yibai, undoubtedly due to the brilliance of the young genius aboard the vehicle. His modified firefighting truck could launch dry ice rockets, and it was through the combined efforts of over 200 rockets that the flames were quelled. Even now, remnants of white, dry ice lingered. Furthermore, with the addition of a turbine spray device, we successfully rescued all trapped individuals. I must petition our superiors for him to be awarded the title of Huadu's 5-star good citizen and nominate him as one of Guangdong provinces, if not the nation's 10 outstanding youths. Rocket launchers, fire trucks, turbine devices, 5-star good citizen. Duanda felt a chill run down his spine. Who would ever conceive of merging rocket launchers with firefighting? Remarkably, it proved effective. Truly a genius. Chapter 74. More intense than S-25? This must be military grade. Moreover, he not only excelled in modifying fire trucks, but had also revamped police motorcycles, kindergarten buses, and heavy-duty trucks. Each vehicle possessed astonishing technological advancements, all completed for a mere few hundred thousand to over 1 million. Secretary Dekong placed a hand on Duanda's shoulder and added, "Consider this. Your helicopters arrived quickly, but I believe they could be even quicker. Why not consult him about modifying your helicopters? The enhanced performance may exceed your expectations, making your report back much easier." Upon hearing this, Duanda's eyes widened with anticipation. "Secretary Dekong, may I go?" "Yes, go ahead," Secretary Dekong replied with a smile. In doing so, he had inadvertently secured another business opportunity for Yibai. However, when he turned to locate Yibai, he discovered that the kindergarten bus had already reversed and taken another route. Hey, don't leave so quickly. What about the business? What about the honor?" Secretary Dekong watched helplessly as the bus drove away. Duanda chuckled wryly. "Secretary Dekong, I believe it is best for me to move my helicopter first and arrange a visit later." Secretary Dekong paused, then a light of understanding dawned on him. "Then you must approach him with full sincerity." "Absolutely," Duanda affirmed solemnly. Outside Princess Mountain, after ensuring the helicopter was bypassed, Yibai eagerly anticipated the journey to Inkai Kindergarten, only to find yet another obstacle ahead. Gazing at the television broadcast vehicle approaching head-on, blocking the already narrow path, Yibai felt a headache coming on. Once his shock value reached a sufficient level, he would truly need a flying car to soar over such traffic jams. Could you please make way? We need to exit. Xiao Yinshan frowned. The opposing driver was accommodating and began to reverse, clearing the path. Just as Xiao Yinshan prepared to drive off, someone suddenly approached with a camera. Master Xiao, do you remember me mentioning that I wanted to conduct an interview with your nephew? The reporter smiled from beside the driver's seat. Xiao Yinshan was taken aback and turned to Yi Bai. Nephew, do you remember Huadu Daily? Shall we wait for your interview before heading to the kindergarten? Yi Bai regarded the reporter with a slight frown, realizing this was the individual who only captured images without lending a hand. Let us skip it, uncle. We have pressing matters. Yi Bai replied dismissively. Fame would come in due time. Especially with so many parents and vehicles around. This was the moment to shine and complete the system upgrade tasks. Xiao Yinshan turned back to the reporter. The reporter quickly interjected. I'll only take a few minutes. I did help carry the rocket launcher for quite a while. Xiao Yinshan replied coldly. I cannot make decisions for my nephew. Please step aside to avoid any discord. Wait, just a few minutes. The reporter exclaimed in disbelief. However, the kindergarten bus engine had already started, forcing the reporter to hastily move aside. As the kindergarten bus receded into the distance, the journalist's face was clouded with profound disappointment, gradually darkening. He flipped to a classic close-up of Yi Bai, the cold glimmer in his eyes suddenly flaring, and decisively clicked delete. Inside the bus driver's cabin, Xiao Yinshan curiously asked Yi Bai, were we a bit heartless just now? After all, they meant well. Yi Bai replied nonchalantly, I am not a central air conditioning unit, able to extend warmth to everyone. My energy is limited and can only be devoted to those who truly matter, my dear. Xiao Yinshan's spirits lifted momentarily, but upon hearing my dear, his expression soured, and he retorted, it's uncle. If you keep this up, I want to indulge you. Oh yes, my dear uncle. Yi Bai chuckled. Just uncle then. Is it Uncle Wangzai? Ha ha. The silence from Xiao Yinshan was deafening, although Yi Bai's laughter was loud. It did not incite genuine anger in Xiao Yinshan. He merely shook his head in resignation. At the Southern Military District, within the 701 Institute of the 32nd Group Army, a heavy-duty truck and a red Flame Dragon Rider were on display, devoid of license plates, but emblazoned with the words Gidu Fire Department and Gidu Traffic Police. Dressed in casual attire, Long Hantian strode into the 701 Institute, brimming with anticipation, and inquired, Academician Zhang, what do you think? Are the technologies of these two vehicles satisfactory? The middle-aged, handsome man with tousled hair, Academician Zhang Ming, slowly lowered the report in his hand, his expression serious. The plasma fluid barrier technology on the Red Flame Dragon Rider is indeed impressive. While it may not withstand missiles, its deployment as a surprise force on the battlefield could yield effects reminiscent of ancient cold weaponry. However, the conical cab of this heavy-duty truck is hard to evaluate. Such an excellent cab should be utilized as a drill for a shield machine rather than merely to topple a crane. It's an extravagant use. Although it resembles an amphibious landing craft, it lacks maritime capabilities. In short, the Red Flame Dragon Rider is suitable for military use, while the heavy-duty truck is better suited for civilian applications. Long Hantian furrowed his brow, thinking it could have been used on an amphibious landing craft, which would have positioned his troops as vanguards once the motherland unified. However, Academician Zhang continued gravely, but General Long, I have good news as well. Oh, what is it? Long Hantian inquired with curiosity. Zhang Ming bent down, his fingers dancing over the laptop, and said, Academician Yang has made new progress today in Huadu, a rocket artillery fire truck. Long Hantian was left speechless. Which genius designed this? A rocket artillery is fit for a fire truck? When it fires, is it extinguishing fires or eliminating foes? Zhang Ming pressed on with a furrowed brow. According to Academician Yang's description, this rocket artillery truck successfully extinguished the fire on Princess Mountain in Huadu. And in terms of firing rate, it surpasses our military's active main battle rocket artillery truck, PHL-191, by several times. Long Hantian chuckled. What of it? The PHL-191 is outdated, with a firing rate of merely 12 rounds per minute. Now we have the SR-5 rocket artillery, modular multiple launch rocket systems, rapid response, multi-caliber compatibility, capable of precise strikes, with a maximum firing rate of up to 40 rounds per minute. However, this rocket artillery has a firing rate of 60 rounds per minute, and that's not even its limit. Furthermore, the range of the rocket artillery can be extended if military-grade rockets are used. Zhang Ming added. Suddenly, Long Hantian's pupils widened in astonishment. 60 rounds per minute? My goodness, that's even stronger than the SR-5. Is this something a fire department can utilize? It must be military grade. Chapter 75. The Inept Husband and the Budding Her? Long Hantian glanced around to ensure no spies from other group armies were present and leaned closer to Duanda, whispering, "By the way, there are no outsiders here. Researcher Duan, can you fill me in on who developed this fire artillery truck? What is the background like? What is the person like?" Duan Da opened his computer and reviewed the information, revealing a rare look of surprise on his typically impassive face. He turned the computer towards Long Hantian, saying, "General Long, it's your old acquaintance Yi Bai." Him. Long Hantian placed his hands on the screen, staring intently at the file, where Yi Bai's photograph was prominently displayed. Regaining his composure, Long Hantian's face lit up with joy. "Fantastic. If it were someone else, I'd have reservations, but if it's him, I won't hold back. This time, we must recruit him. With this potent rocket artillery, we can certainly make a substantial impact during the Zhuri nuclear exercises." At this moment, a bespectacled soldier approached with a broom. Noticing Long Hantian, he quickly said, "Old Long, Commander Peng is asking why you haven't gone to sweep the floor. I covered for you by saying you went to the restroom. You ought to go clean up today's mess." Long Hantian, excited, leaned on the soldier, "Old Zhao," and laughed. "Since you've already made excuses for me, why not help me with the excuse for sweeping the floor as well? I need to go recruit that kid. Once I succeed, our 32nd Group Army will undoubtedly become the strongest in the entire army." With that, Long Hantian dashed off. "Hey, how am I supposed to help you with that? You're putting me in a tight spot." Old Zhao was left speechless, squatting down, dreading the impending wrath of Commander Peng Zhongyuan. In Huadu, outside the Third Ring Road, at Inkai Kindergarten, as Xiao Yunshan parked the car at the entrance, the parents who had been waiting impatiently rushed over. "Mr. Xiao, has your nephew Yi Bai arrived? We can't wait to meet him. If my Zihan could possess half of his intelligence, I would be content." Not only did he get into Tsinghua and Peking University, he also engages in research and inventions, truly a genius. Observing the admiration from these parents, Xiao Yunshan beamed, pulled the handbrake, removed the key, and said to Yi Bai, "Little nephew, are you ready to greet your fans?" Yi Bai's cheeks flushed as he replied, "What fans? They are all my family." Indeed, if we are to talk about thick skin, I, your uncle, have lived over 40 years and have not achieved even a fraction of your boldness." Xiao Yunshan teased. Yi Bai stepped out of the car, greeted by a tall and graceful woman, her figure alluring, embodying both fullness and mature charm, with a beauty mark at the corner of her mouth that enhanced her elegant and gentle visage. At that moment, the woman placed her hands on her abdomen and smiled. "Welcome, Yi Bai. It's a pleasure to meet you for the first time. Strangely, you remind me of someone from the past." "Oh, really?" Yi Bai was somewhat perplexed. Was she flirting, or was it genuine? Xiao Yunshan stepped down from the driver's seat and introduced, "This is the principal of Inkai Kindergarten, Xiao Rian, 28 years old, a Harvard Ph.D. in education. Her husband is quite handsome and renowned internationally as a bodybuilder. Now that I think of it, it does seem quite similar." "Ha ha ha, is that so?" Yi Bai felt a surge of anxiety. Generally, bodybuilders are muscular, but it seems they are lacking in other aspects. Coughing slightly, he asked, "If I may be so bold, Principal Xiao, your child isn't also at Inkai Kindergarten, is he?" Yi Bai's gaze was fixed on Xiao Rian. Xiao Rian's expression betrayed a hint of melancholy as she averted her gaze, replying, "No. My husband and I currently have no plans for children, as there are so many little ones awaiting my care. However, in the future, I will certainly find a way to have my own baby." Goodness, Yi Bai thought. Xiao Rian's hips were quite wide, rivaling the luscious peaches, and both of them had their legs tightly closed. Certainly both were in a drought, having never experienced the nourishment of an oasis. Xiao Yunshan's expression darkened as he chided, "Little nephew, you shouldn't ask such questions. It makes her unhappy." He turned to Xiao Riyuan with a smile and said, "Principal Xiao, please don't mind. My nephew has just turned 18. He is like a newborn calf, unafraid of tigers." Xiao Riyuan shook her head, her beautiful eyes gazing at Yi Bai. She smiled and said, "Not at all. In fact, I find classmate Yi Bai to be quite innocent and sincere. Seeing him in person only reinforces my impression of his excellence." Yi Bai swallowed hard, acutely aware of the flush rising to his cheeks, and he sensed that Xiao Riyuan might indeed have a fondness for him. Yet, whether this was merely his imagination or a reality remained uncertain. "Thank you for the compliment. Principal Xiao, you are so young, beautiful, and a Ph.D. That is truly impressive," Yi Bai remarked. Xiao Riyuan playfully covered her mouth and smiled. "It seems that even at a young age, I am already 28. Moreover, had it not been for your modifications to the kindergarten bus, I might not have been able to continue as principal due to the immense pressure." Yi Bai waved his hand dismissively. "It's nothing, just a coincidence. However, if given another chance to save these children, I would do so without hesitation." Xiao Riyuan then asked, "Could you help me modify a car?" I recently set my sights on a second-hand GTR on a car trading platform, but it's quite worn out. A second-hand GTR? Worn out? Wouldn't that be the very vehicle he had operated on before with the Crimson Dragon Knight? Just as Yi Bai was pondering this, the eager parents surrounding them could no longer contain their excitement and rushed over. Modifying a second-hand car is certainly feasible, but I believe most would prefer to upgrade to the latest Lamborghini if given the chance, right? Lamborghini is for the kids. We parents drive Hongqi, Bentleys, and such. But as a woman, I drive a Maserati. How about modifying my Maserati? No. Don't all rush to compete with me. My car is the cheapest. A G-Class. If we're modifying cars, it should definitely be the G-Class, a vehicle that is both economical and imposing. That is the true romanticism of a man. The parents exchanged enthusiastic banter, and Yi Bai couldn't help but feel a blossoming joy at the lively atmosphere. There were at least 20 parents present, and if half of them opted for modifications, they would be dealing with luxury cars worth several million. Ahem, modifications are certainly to be made. I hold no disdain for anyone. Since everyone wishes to modify their vehicles, I shall treat all equally and modify them all. However, before proceeding, I must conduct a brief inspection of your cars. Has anyone driven their vehicle here? Yi Bai cleared his throat and inquired. Soon, someone raised their hand and exclaimed, I drove the G-Class here. Well then, let me take a look at your G-Class. Yi Bai responded with excitement. Chapter 76, Starry Sky Roof and Bald Roof. It is advisable to minimize the use of the vibration mode. This G-Class will be a crucial step in rapidly completing the system upgrade task. Yi Bai arrived at the parking lot of Inkai Kindergarten, where a ferocious beast, its body coated in a midnight matte black finish, was parked prominently in the center space. Compared to the other luxury cars, which exuded grace and elegance, this vehicle emanated an unparalleled dominance. Upon closer inspection, the three-pointed star emblem was embedded in a honeycomb-patterned blackened grille, reminiscent of a beast retracting its fangs as a final warning. The exposed gear structure of the door hinges revealed an industrial brutality, while the AMG red badge burned fiercely against a pure black backdrop. A crown-wearing predator that shattered any rules before its guillotine-like bumper. It was no wonder so many admired the Mercedes G-Class, aside from its high fuel consumption and price. It possessed hardly any drawbacks. Scanning vehicle. Yi Bai murmured to himself. The system's prompt chimed in response. Scanning vehicle in progress. Model, Mercedes-Benz G-Class. Vehicle age, 45 years. Manufacturer matte, paint slightly dirty. 40T V8 engine shows signs of aging. With 501 horsepower remaining, 84 horsepower loss, and 711 torque, 139 loss. Exhaust system valve aged. Sound level uncontrollable. Scan result. Modification upgrade not possible. Please complete the upgrade task to unlock modification privileges for D-Class vehicles. Upon seeing the initial results, Yi Bai felt reassured. After all, it was a product from a reputable manufacturer, ensuring quality. However, the latter part of the scan indicated that modifications were not permitted, leaving him exasperated. D-Class. The Mercedes G-Class is a D-Class vehicle? Modifications can only occur after completing the upgrade task, but how could he complete the upgrade task without modifications? Just then, the owner of the G-Class inquired with a smile, Young Master Yi, can my G-Class be modified? Is there any issue? Yi Bai furrowed his brow slightly and replied, modification is indeed possible, and the issues aren't significant. However, the exhaust system valve is aged, causing a rather loud noise when driving. We can hold off on that for now while I take a closer look. The G-Class owner stood there, dumbfounded, unable to believe Yi Bai's insight. This exhaust system is internal. Even the most skilled technician would need to conduct adjustments to determine its condition. How did Yi Bai discern it at a glance? Could it be some form of X-ray vision? Yet he hadn't even displayed his golden eyes. The other parents, witnessing the astonishment on the G-Class owner's face, looked at Yi Bai with even more intense admiration. At that moment, another male parent rushed forward, smiling. Master Yi, my Rolls-Royce is parked right next to this Mercedes G-Class. Since you're here, why don't you take a look at mine as well? All right then, Yi Bai acknowledged, glancing over at the Rolls-Royce. He remained uncertain whether the Mercedes G-Class was an anomaly or if all vehicles were similar, and thus quietly thought, scan vehicle. Scanning vehicle in progress. Model, Rolls-Royce Phantom. Vehicle age, 1 year. Chassis shock absorption system showing severe aging. Electric window curtain rollers aged. Theatrical grade bespoke audio system aged. Starry sky ceiling S fiber optic stars significantly fallen off in the driver's area. Scan result. Modification upgrade not possible. Please complete the upgrade task to unlock modification privileges for D-Class vehicles. Seeing this result, Yi Bai couldn't help but sigh softly. Indeed, it was as he suspected. However, upon hearing his sigh, the Rolls-Royce owner immediately became anxious and stammered, "Doctor, master. My car is still usable, right?" Yi Bai blinked and said, "It is usable, but are you sure you want me to say it here?" The owner was taken aback. Glancing around nervously, his face flushed. "It's fine. Since we're here to modify cars, there's nothing inconvenient to disclose." Yi Bai furrowed his brow and said, "In the interest of your well-being, I must ask if your wife or someone familiar is nearby." The owner's eyes widened in shock. What on earth is this about? Surely he wasn't implying? "Master Yi, could you give me a subtle hint?" The owner chuckled nervously. Yi Bai swallowed hard, patting the owner's shoulder, and said, "Take care of your health. Your car has only been with you for a year, yet the shock absorption system is already showing significant aging." "What?" the owner exclaimed, his face turning crimson, his body stiffening in place. The other parents were equally astonished. This is truly impressive. He discerned that the owner enjoys bumpy rides. A high-frequency bumpy ride, nonetheless. This is an exceptional skill. Instantly, those who had been merely observing, following the trend, or seeking amusement, especially the male parents, rushed forward, excitedly surrounding Yi Bai. "Master Yi, please take a look at my car too. Look at mine first. I'm willing to pay a premium for modifications." "Master Yi, I have no other requests. As long as you handle it, I'm happy to pay any price." Yi Bai was utterly astonished that a mere few vehicle scans had elevated him to the status of a divine technician. Yet, alas, it was merely a matter of money lost. He could only watch and not profit, which was frustrating. However, abandoning this opportunity was not an option. He needed a way to keep them engaged. With a quick thought, Yi Bai cleared his throat and declared loudly, "Everyone, please calm down. I have felt your enthusiasm. I am more than willing to assist you in modifying your cars. However, if you wish to modify your vehicles, you must first apply for approval at the Transportation Bureau." The owner of the G-Class raised his arm and proclaimed, "Why don't we head to the Transportation Bureau right now? Let us aim to complete the entire process in a single day, shall we?" In an instant, everyone eagerly responded, turning their hopeful gazes towards Yi Bai. Feeling the weight of immense responsibility on his shoulders, Yi Bai helplessly replied, "All right, then given the circumstances, I cannot refuse. We shall take it one step at a time." Subsequently, the group set off towards the Transportation Bureau. On the kindergarten bus, Xiao Yunshan observed the dejected expression on Yi Bai's face and cheerfully remarked, "Nephew, there are no outsiders here, so you need not pretend to be unhappy. With so many customers, you should secretly revel in it." Yi Bai sighed, "Uncle, you do not understand my predicament." "Predicament? I can't think of any difficulties you might have. You, of all people, relish making money. Besides, being unscrupulous in business is your forte. Even before me, your old uncle, you feigned distress. How cunning you are?" Xiao Yunshan squinted his eyes, wearing a sly grin. Yi Bai stared blankly at Xiao Yunshan, utterly astonished. He never expected his actions could be interpreted as cunning. Time flew by, and before they could devise a plan, they had already arrived at the Transportation Bureau. The staff at the bureau had seen their fair share of chaos. Yet witnessing so many luxury cars parked at the entrance for the first time was a sight to behold, especially as each owner intended to submit modification requests. This was indeed a challenging situation, particularly since it was 5:59 p.m., just a minute shy of closing time. Chapter 77. Report, I wish to challenge my vulnerabilities. Nonetheless, during working hours, the staff patiently explained, "Your applications can be processed, yes, but only for minor cosmetic modifications. Alterations to power and chassis remain strictly prohibited." The parents erupted in disbelief. What? Then why was Master Yi's previous vehicle allowed to be modified? Wasn't he that illegal? He modified a fire truck, a police motorcycle, and a kindergarten bus. Those should have been permissible, right? Does this mean we cannot modify ours? Not necessarily. I do have some acquaintances at the Provincial Transportation Bureau, but managing so many requests will be a bit tricky. Yi Bai couldn't help but chuckle inwardly. It was precisely the complexity that was desired, to keep them from escaping. At that moment, a figure emerged from the office and approached the service desk. It was none other than the newly off-duty Transportation Bureau chief, Lei Chuyang. Upon seeing the multitude gathered, he was taken aback, especially as they were discussing vehicle modifications. What was going on here? The next moment, upon spotting Yi Bai, understanding dawned on him. With a subtle smile, Lei Chuyang approached the service desk and said, "Xiao Lu, I need you to work hard tonight and process all of these individuals' requests." Everyone, including Yi Bai, was astonished. Xiao Lu looked distressed. "Chief, I have a date with my girlfriend tonight." Lei Chuyang's expression shifted slightly as he patted the dust off Xiao Lu's shoulder and calmly stated, "You have something on your shoulder, let me help you dust it off." Our staff must always maintain a clean appearance. For only then can we bear the weight of the responsibilities entrusted to us by the nation and the people. I have always held high hopes for you. Oh, by the way, what did you just say? Xiao Lu's face flushed with embarrassment. The chief's attention was a commendation. I said, I happen to be free tonight, so I'll stay and work overtime. Xiao Lu declared, his eyes ablaze. Yi Bai was stunned. This was clearly an empty promise. It was time to close. Yet they were still working? Were the Post-00s really reforming the bureaucracy, or were they being led on? At that moment, the parents behind him burst forth with excitement, praising. What an admirable official. This is indeed a good public servant. The news of Bureau Chief Lei's actions today was certainly well-deserved. Chief Lei, I operate a farmhouse down the mountain. If you don't mind, I would love to invite you, your wife, and children to visit this weekend. Rest assured, we want to discuss any official matters. Seeing the fervent invitations from the crowd, Lei Chuyang quickly waved his hands in refusal. I appreciate your kindness, but I am here to discuss matters with Master Yi Bai today, so it would not be suitable to accept your invitation. Instantly, all eyes turned towards Yi Bai. Even the Transportation Bureau chief sought to curry favor with him. It seemed Yi Bai had merely revealed the tip of the iceberg. Once again feeling the heat of everyone's gaze, Yi Bai sighed inwardly and reluctantly stated, I will discuss matters with Chief Lei shortly. But I must clarify one thing to everyone first. What is it? The crowd inquired curiously. Yi Bai's expression grew solemn as he said, regarding the vehicle modifications for everyone, it is indeed possible, but it may take a month or even longer. What? That long? And it's still uncertain after a month? Are you sure, Master Yi? Is this not a roundabout way of refusing us? We are being so enthusiastic, and you are playing us? Expressions of embarrassment, anger, and even some indignation surfaced among the crowd. At that moment, Secretary Dekong, who had been observing for a while, stepped forward with a smile, saying, Comrade Yi Bai is not rejecting you. He is genuinely occupied with the fire rocket launcher project, which falls under the responsibility of our municipal government. After all, Comrade Yi Bai possesses the technology, but even with sufficient funding and personnel, establishing a factory takes time, and technical delivery requires time as well. Here, I, Secretary Dekong, on behalf of the municipal government of Huadu, sincerely apologize to everyone. Secretary Dekong, establishing a factory, though the attendees were wealthy in Longhua, money still bowed to authority. Secretary Dekong speaking on Yi Bai's behalf and hinting at a deeper collaboration between Yi Bai and the state was indeed significant. No wonder, Yi Bai was truly exceptional. One should aspire to be like Master Yi. We must support the nation, give face to Secretary Dekong, and also to Master Yi. What is a month of waiting? We waited decades. Why fear this mere month? The parents' sentiments shifted once more. Yi Bai was already overjoyed. Just then, a loud voice echoed from outside the Transportation Bureau. Yi Bai, congratulations on your newfound wealth. Developing such a remarkable fire rocket launcher. You have truly struck gold. Your technology will be requisitioned by the military, and all subsequent processes and operations will be handled by the military-industrial complex. Yi Bai, you can now lie back and earn money. And you have the military as your shield. The voice belonged to none other than Long Hantian, dressed in military attire, with a brilliant ear of wheat and a star emblazoned on his shoulder, making everyone present catch their breath. After all, even Secretary Dekong had not anticipated that Yi Bai had military connections and was acquainted with a major general. Yi Bai furrowed his brow, displeased. General Long, when did I agree to military use? Furthermore, I intended to promote this nationwide for firefighting purposes. How could you simply appropriate it for military use? Long Hantian replied earnestly. Comrade Yi Bai, your fire rocket launcher is faster in firing rate than the current active rocket launchers. It is far too advanced and must be prioritized for military use. It will contribute to national defense and safeguarding our homeland, and you could even be granted an official title. Otherwise, it would be difficult for the higher-ups to award you first-class merit. This was indeed the case. It was well known that first-class merit was an honor within the military that civilians could not attain, yet one often received a position within the military to obtain it. It explained why there had been no news regarding first-class merit thus far. However, if the military were to take over, while he could extricate himself, how would he explain this to the parents? Yi Bai contemplated for a moment and decided to be honest with the parents. After all, business could be rebuilt, but integrity was paramount. At that moment, Long Hantian added, you should heed my advice and join the ranks. Otherwise, should spies catch wind of this, it could become perilous. Moreover, they may not resort to assassination but rather employ the art of seduction. For instance, when you are feeling downcast, a gentle and intelligent beauty might suddenly appear, offering you care, warmth, and affection. Who could withstand the special attention of a subordinate with ulterior motives, both physically and mentally? Yi Bai's eyes brightened, resolutely declaring, I am an unwavering warrior of materialism. If spies wish to come, let them come. I shall not falter even for a second. It is absurd to think he could not bear it. Who does not wish to challenge their own vulnerabilities? In Chapter 78, he was appointed as a military advisor, which could be considered an official entry into the ranks. Well, you truly are a businessman, too cunning for your own good. However, the appointment must proceed. If you prefer to take your time, let us start with my 32nd Group Army as a research advisor. Long Hantian remarked. Yi Bai raised an eyebrow, asking, Is there an exam for that? Long Hantian blinked, but remained silent. Yi Bai felt a rush of frustration. Although he possessed a strong capacity for learning, it did not mean he enjoyed examinations. Could there not be some privileges? In foreign lands, a mere word from a leader could expedite matters. Of course, the same could happen domestically, but not through financial motivations. Rather, it would be based on national interests. Clearly, he had yet to reach a status where special treatment from the state was warranted. The parents present were taken aback to learn that a major general was advocating for Yi Bai's appointment. Their breaths quickened, while there would still be an exam, and further interviews would be necessary. Yi Bai was a freshman from Tsinghua University. He would undoubtedly pass and be valued. Choosing a military path could be equally rewarding. At that moment, the owner of a large G vehicle spoke up first. Boss Yi, I never expected you to have military connections. Now that military secrets are involved, as citizens, we have an obligation to protect our nation's military confidentiality. Therefore, if we delay modifying our vehicles, we can accept that, as Boss Yi is running a business. And we have not offended you. You will surely assist us. Indeed, we support Boss Yi, the military, and our country. The parents echoed in agreement. Yi Bai could hardly believe that such a challenging issue was resolved so effortlessly. In that case, I shall see you all in a month, he stated, taking a deep breath. Subsequently, the group of parents departed. Secretary De Kong regarded Yi Bai with newfound respect, realizing that he was truly a person of depth. Oh, thank goodness, Yi Bai replied nonchalantly. Secretary De Kong intended to speak again, but was interrupted by Long Hantian's arrival. Comrade Yi Bai, let us discuss matters of national significance. Long Hantian said. Yi Bai chuckled. I am but an ordinary citizen. Are you certain you wish to discuss such weighty topics? National defense pertains to the life and death of the nation. How can it not be considered a matter of national significance? Long Hantian asserted with seriousness. Seeing this, Secretary De Kong smiled awkwardly. General Long, Comrade Yi Bai, I still have official duties to attend to, so I must take my leave. You two may continue your discussion in Director Lei Qiang's office. He will oversee your meeting. Very well, Long Hantian nodded, leading Yi Bai inside. In the office of the Director of the Transportation Bureau, Yi Bai followed Long Hantian, locking the door behind them, and spotted a card from the Agricultural Bank on the desk. This contains the patent fees for the fire truck modifications. The profits from the first batch of vehicle alterations, 5 million in total. While it may not seem substantial to you, within the military budget, it is a considerable sum. Comrade Yi Bai, I trust you find this income satisfactory? Long Hantian asked with a smile. A spark of excitement flickered in Yi Bai's eyes as he replied. It is acceptable. However, compared to my national promotion efforts, this income is rather meager. Oh, pray tell, Long Hantian inquired with curiosity. Consider the fire trucks at 1.2 million each. If every city acquires one, that amounts to several billion. Just imagine how much I could earn. Yi Bai exclaimed with enthusiasm. Long Hantian rolled his eyes, exasperated. But who will foot the bill? Is it not the government? Do you think the state is foolish enough to spend billions updating fire trucks? It would be far more practical to distribute a few dozen yuan to everyone instead. With that money, we could develop the economy, improve employment, and enhance welfare. Well, that seems reasonable. However, in super first-tier cities like Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, as well as some robust first-tier cities like Hangzhou and Chengdu, pursuing this should not pose a significant problem, right? After all, my fire rocket launcher trucks are indeed advanced, yet there remains ample room for improvement. Aligning with the military standards of service, Yi Bai argued earnestly. Long Hantian pondered for a moment before conceding, negotiating with the military is a talent of yours. However, I understand your ambitions. Here's the deal. Outside of military use, it can be utilized for civilian purposes, but limited to firefighting. How does that sound? That works perfectly. Yi Bai replied cheerfully, realizing that such civilian applications would yield both profit and prestige. Now, with the added protection of the military, he could navigate this territory with confidence. By the way, General Long, when will my first-class merit be awarded? Yi Bai inquired further. Long Hantian frowned slightly, For that, you need to hold a position first. The process requires some time. Rest assured, you will definitely receive the first-class merit. You saved my life. I will ensure it is expedited. Good, Yibai nodded. Such matters were inevitable. It was merely a question of time. Long Hantian then asked, by the way, do you want the award sent to Huadu or your hometown? My hometown, please. I wish to surprise my grandparents. Yibai expressed with anticipation. His grandparents had always shown him great affection, and his grandfather had hoped for his father to become a soldier, while his father chose business. Seeing his grandson receive a first-class merit would surely bring his grandfather immense joy. He would likely wake up smiling from such a dream, feeling fulfilled in life. Oh, you are indeed a filial child, Long Hantian remarked, guilt evident on his face. Afterward, Long Hantian departed, leaving Yibai to pick up the agricultural bank card on the desk, where the password was inscribed on the back as 6 zeros. He could hardly contain his excitement. 5 million. Though it paled in comparison to the hundreds of billions from nationwide promotions, it was still a tangible sum. Now, to the bank to withdraw funds. I shall fill my room to the brim and revel in the experience of extravagance. With determination, Yibai strode towards the office door. However, he encountered a visibly anxious Lei Chuyang, who stood there, trembling slightly. Curious, Yibai asked, Director Lei, is something the matter? Snapping back to reality, Lei Chuyang gazed at Yibai, gritting his teeth. Boss Yi, I may truly need your assistance this time. In Chapter 79, the collective of 100-ton trucks charged through checkpoints, defying all authority. Lei Chuyang furrowed his brow and lowered his eyes and face, propping up the door frame and weakly saying, actually, I could have been promoted to the position of deputy mayor of the local area 3 years ago, in charge of transportation and port construction. With your strength, I am also curious why you are still serving as the director. Yibai commented. Lei Chuyang looked gratefully at Yibai and said with discomfort, 3 years ago, when I was the director, there was a large-scale traffic accident that shocked the whole country at that time. 3,200-ton heavy-duty trucks experienced a series of rear-end collisions while passing through the toll station, blocking not only the entrance, but also the exit. Off 32 vehicles? Yibai was dumbfounded. This NEMA already exceeded the standard with just 1 car, so why did 32 cars come in? Still blocking the toll station to the point of no return? Is this intentional? Yibai suspected. Lei Chuyang shook his head helplessly and said, I don't know. But at that time, the car in front of me was blocking the car behind me. The car behind me was blocking the car behind me. And then the car behind me was blocking the car behind me. If it were normal, it wouldn't be a big deal. Unfortunately, at that time, it was the time when the higher-ups came to investigate the real traffic situation in Huadu. As the director of the Transportation Bureau, I was unable to prevent accidents, manage road transportation, optimize public transportation, and manage emergency situations related to this sudden incident. As a result, I was detained for 6 months for investigation. Yibai suddenly sympathized with Lei Chuyang. After all, accidents of this level would not work for any director to come. Director Lei, do you think the timing of this accident is so coincidental that it was premeditated by someone? Yubasai Cableway. To be honest, I have also doubted it before. And the more I think about it, the more frightened I feel. Behind this, there may be an invisible hand stirring everything, and every person deep inside cannot escape. Let alone escape the fate of becoming a chess piece. If I keep being this director, perhaps I will gradually forget. But now, this appointment letter is right in front of me, and I'm worried that what happened 3 years ago will happen again. I'm afraid of making the same mistake again. Lei Chuyang said with a solemn expression. Yibai frowned. Shouldn't it be such a coincidence? At this moment, the phone ringtone in Lei Chuyang's pocket rang. The sudden ringing of the bell left both Yibai and Lei Chuyang stunned. After exchanging a glance, Lei Chuyang took the phone, and it was Su Ning calling. Hello, Xiaosu, what's up? Lei Chuyang wrote. On the other end of the phone, Su Ning frowned and said, I'm patrolling the streets on a red flame dragon. It's unreasonable to have 400-ton king drivers, even if the red light keeps running. It's okay. The green light actually increases the horsepower. I followed him for 3 streets, but the driver kept driving. I am now applying to intercept this 100-ton king on the spot. As soon as these words are spoken, Lei Chuyang and Yibai looked at each other again, both with surprised expressions on their faces. Hello, Director Lei. Are you listening? Director Lei, if you don't reply soon, he may have to cross the toll station and run away. And I suspect he might even charge for the card. Su Ning said again on the phone. A decisive look flashed across Lei Chuyang's face. You continue to follow, Yibai, and I will arrive soon. If the other party engages in card collision behavior, stop immediately. Yes, Director. Wait, Yibai, is he coming too? Su Ning exclaimed in surprise. Yibai approached Lei Chuyang's phone and smiled. Could it be that Officer Su and I separated for a few hours and immediately didn't recognize me? Got it, got it. Cough, cough, cough. I'm still working now, see you later. Su Ning hung up the phone in a slightly flustered manner. Lei Chuyang put down his phone and looked at Yi Bai awkwardly, saying, I'm really afraid of anything. My idea is to ask you to help me change a car that can handle the 100-ton king, but I don't know what kind of car to change. Why don't you come with me, Mr. Yi, to have a closer look and maybe come up with better ideas? Well, I think it's okay. Yi Baidao. To be honest, there's no need to think about changing any car to deal with the 100-ton king. It must be the Crane King who made Sun Jishui cry. But since there is excitement to join in, of course we still have to go and take a look. Soon, the two of them drove their private cars to the highway over limit detection station from Huadu to Gidu. Due to the close proximity of the Transportation Bureau to the monitoring station, when Yi Bai and Lei Chuyang arrived, the 400-ton kings had just disappeared from sight, and Su Ning's Red Flame Dragon cavalry followed closely behind. And on the way to the monitoring station, Lei Chuyang also arranged manpower in advance to complete the sealing of the monitoring station with 2 large yellow and black triangular anti-horse collision barriers. And there are also many road security personnel wearing yellow uniforms holding flags on both sides. In theory, with such a configuration, almost anyone who comes knows they will be stopped and will stop to see the situation. But the reality is that the driver of the 100-ton king who took the lead seems to treat the railing as a roadblock and the security personnel as zombies. There is no sign of stopping at all. Whoosh whoosh. The leading 100-ton king first drove at a constant speed, with a distance of 50 meters from the car in front of him. After the car in front left, he decisively accelerated and drove straight all the way. Parking, parking, parking. The female staff shouted loudly. The only answer to her is the long cry of the 100-ton king breaking through the clouds. Toot toot bang. The 100-ton king, driving at high speed, easily breaks through the roadblocks at the inspection station and also crushes the car barrier like crushed cardboard. And the 300-ton kings that followed closely behind also raised dust, engulfing the entire inspection station. So much so that the shadow of the 100-ton kings could only be judged in the black shadows. Yi Bai and Ben couldn't believe their eyes. Did those 100-ton kings rush the cards so agilely? Lei Chuyang said calmly. This is their usual trick. The first car goes first. If there is an accident, the responsibility lies entirely with the first car's body. The following cars can use the excuse that the first car's brakes failed. And we don't know what happened in front of us, so we followed closely. And it's just dark now, with the headlights on and raised so high that they don't see anything on the opposite side. It's easy for private car drivers with poor mental resilience to feel lost and even have accidents. Yi Bai frowned and said, then can't we use a ground nail chain plate to tie the tire? 2 rows ahead, can they still fly over? Lei Chuyang shook his head helplessly. A tire with more than 10 atmospheres of pressure had blown out, and the consequences were very serious. If he encountered a hard obstacle passing at full speed, a tire blowout could not only cause the monitoring station to collapse just now, but also lead to several deaths. For years ago, there was a case in Zhucheng where a tire had blown out, causing the steel rim to jump off and the nearby car to be completely destroyed. The driver was left cold on the spot, and the glass within 2 miles was shaking, with a power even more exaggerated than a hand grenade. Yi Bai couldn't help but curse silently and exclaimed, then they will get off the car one day, right? Aren't you afraid of being caught and having your driver's license revoked? Lei Chuyang looked at Yi Bai with a bitter smile and said, they also need a driver's license. Damn it, such a lawless mother? Yi Bai was shocked and even more furious. Chapter 80. It's okay, the Red Flame Dragon Cavalry will take action. Lei Chuyang sighed and said, the main difficulty is that it is somewhat extraordinary to govern the 100-ton king. 2 years ago, it was discovered in the 4 provinces of Shanha that some 100-ton trucks had illegally installed steel plates and hydraulic devices, which made the quality of empty vehicles consistent with legal data, thus avoiding static weighing inspections. If a collision bar is added, it can directly break through the roadblock, and its impact force can even exceed 50 tons. It seems that the car just now was equipped with a collision bar. For some skilled drivers, they can use techniques such as sudden braking and S-shaped positioning to achieve the skill of jumping or sliding scales, thereby interfering with dynamic weighing data, with an error of up to 30. In addition, there are those who have installed electronic shielding systems for license plate recognition, or utilize forged ETC signals for rapid passage, methods that seem to proliferate endlessly. The crux of the issue lies in the inconsistent enforcement standards across various regions and the difficulty in cross-regional coordination. These drivers of heavy-duty trucks traverse thousands of miles, and the lack of stringent penalties renders them unafraid of the consequences, especially when the prevailing atmosphere encourages such lawlessness. After gaining a deeper understanding of the current situation regarding these heavy-duty trucks breaching checkpoints, Yi Bai increasingly felt that the notorious reputation of these trucks as kings of the national highways was not without justification. However, if no action is taken to rectify this, it is the ordinary citizens who will ultimately suffer. Director Lei, is there no intervention from the state? Are there no capable individuals at the local level? Can their expertise be borrowed? Yi Bai inquired. Lei Chuyang slowly lifted his gaze to the horizon, reminiscing. Indeed, there are instances. For example, Jinling has implemented a provincial-wide network for the regulation of overloading, which has resulted in a 72% decrease in checkpoint breaches throughout the year. Additionally, Zito employs an AI license plate recognition system capable of automatic fine generation across all road segments. Furthermore, Xiangdu imposes dual penalties on cargo owners, transportation enterprises, and modification factories, holding them jointly accountable. At the national level, the Transportation Bureau has collaborated with the Price Bureau to recently release guidelines for freight charges, which can mitigate cutthroat competition to a certain extent. They have also partnered with the Development and Reform Commission to enhance waterway transportation, constructing numerous canals to alleviate the demand for overloaded roads. Yet, these measures are macro-level solutions that cannot quench the immediate thirst for resolution. In a place like Huadu, which ranks at the bottom of the Guangdong province's economy, where is the funding for such initiatives? By the time the benefits of these policies are realized, it will be years down the line. I understand, Yi Bai nodded. For a small locality, while violence may not be a cure-all, it can indeed prove effective. Furthermore, if sufficiently forceful, it might even subdue the most defiant. As the saying goes, one punch can prevent 100 punches. Huadu is also the place where Yi Bai grew up. He cannot allow these heavy-duty truck drivers to act with impunity. At that moment, Lei Qiang's phone rang again. Ding-ling-ding. Upon answering the call, Su Ning urgently reported. Director Lei, those 4 heavy-duty trucks that breached the checkpoint are fleeing towards the Gitu border. Please give the order to intercept. Lei Qiang commanded, immediately intercept. But do your best to avoid causing a major traffic accident. Yes, Director. Su Ning replied, and a resounding dragon's roar echoed from the other end of the line. Lei Chuyang turned to Yi Bai and said, let us head there now. All right. Yi Bai nodded, following Lei Chuyang into the private car as they sped away. On the national highway, Su Ning piloted the Qi and Longqi at breakneck speed. Whether in the Kyoto where she had grown up or the Huadu where she now worked, she had never encountered such lawless individuals. They blatantly disregarded the law, showing a cold indifference to the lives of others. Owner of the vehicle with license plate MIN B304F. Please pull over immediately, or I will resort to forceful interception in 10 seconds. Your actions of breaching the checkpoint violate Article 38 and Article 99 of the Road Traffic Safety Law of Longhua, as well as Article 72 of the Highway Safety Protection Regulations. Turn back now, or your stubbornness will have consequences that will affect your family and children. Su Ning forcefully connected to the heavy-duty truck's radio via the Qi and Longqi's electronic communicator to issue her warning. However, the lead driver scoffed derisively. Article 38 is about running a red light. Article 99 pertains to breaching checkpoints, and even Article 72 is also about breaching checkpoints. To cite 2 regulations for a single breach is nothing but bureaucratic nonsense. If the law deterred me, why would I even be a heavy-duty truck driver? Ha. The other drivers engaged in video calls erupted in laughter. One of them remarked, I must say, I find the voice of this female officer quite pleasant, far superior to that of my own wife. You wouldn't find such quality in a commercial setting. I can't help but feel tempted. Another chimed in. Once we finish this trip, that's another 10,000 in our pockets. We must hit the outside scene tonight. If questioned later, we can just say someone got into trouble and pay for disaster relief. We'll take turns inviting each other, all right? Laughter ensued as they continued their banter, oblivious to the fact that their conversation was being transmitted via radio to Su Ning's ears. While Su Ning was astonished by the formidable electronic warfare capabilities of the Qi and Longqi, she was equally enraged by the brazen behavior of these individuals. Engaging in such sordid activities, why not pursue something more respectable? With her teeth clenched, she believed that girls should adhere to propriety rather than act recklessly, regardless of gender. Maintaining fidelity in relationships is a fundamental expectation, not a commendable trait, but a basic line that should not be crossed. Today, they have provoked me, Su Ning, and they have chosen the wrong person to offend. With a flash of cold determination in her beautiful eyes, she accelerated the Qi and Longqi, overtaking the last 3 heavy-duty trucks with visible speed, positioning herself directly in front of the lead truck. Wave 1. Plasma fluid barrier activated. Su Ning maneuvered directly in front of the leading heavy-duty truck. Reduce speed at a distance of 100 meters. The driver of the heavy-duty truck, witnessing the approaching Qian Longqi, couldn't help but smirk, thinking, this woman thinks she can slow me down with such tactics. How foolish. I might not see her. Mistaking her for a speed bump. The truck belongs to the company. She should discuss it with the boss. Besides, I'm fully insured. My premium is worth more than a life. What could possibly happen to me? Laughter erupted from the video call. The lead driver, while amused, was also curious as to why a police motorcycle would be ablaze. However, the next moment, a shocking realization struck him as the Qian Longqi collided with his heavy-duty truck. Contrary to his expectations of the motorcycle being launched away, it did not budge. Rather, the front of his truck was effortlessly sliced open as if it were made of paper. Gazing at the fiery dragon that formed beside him, tearing apart the heavy-duty truck, the lead driver was left in utter disbelief. Chapter 81. The status of the heavy-duty truck in the underworld. No, this is just a police motorcycle. Even if it's ablaze, it's still just a motorcycle. How could it possibly shred the front of my heavy-duty truck? The lead driver was astonished. Yet he recognized that if he did not grip the steering wheel tightly, he risked being thrown out and crushed under the wheels of his fellow heavy-duty truck drivers, which would surely spell disaster for him. No, he screamed in horror. Bang, 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 clang, clang, sizzle, thud. The front of the heavy-duty truck, moving at high speed, had been sliced open by the Qian Longqi, causing the vehicle to swerve leftward. Upon hitting the ground, it was propelled upward by inertia, bouncing several times on the highway before finally rolling onto its roof and sliding several meters, leaving long streaks of steel against the concrete road. It came to a halt after crashing heavily into the guardrail. Fortunately, the airbags deployed on the other side of the truck, ensuring the driver likely survived. Let us see if you dare to be so arrogant again. Su Ning witnessed the driver being incapacitated and decisively deactivated the plasma fluid barrier mode. With a swift 180-degree drift, she pointed the vehicle's nose towards the imposing 100-ton truck. The engine roared to life as the Crimson Flame Dragon Rider surged forward. Faced with the high-speed glide of the remaining truck's front section, Su Ning chose to confront the 100-ton truck head-on, leveraging the resilience and velocity of the Crimson Flame Dragon Rider to force the truck to decelerate. Finally, under the imposing might of the Crimson Flame Dragon Rider, the massive truck was subdued, bowing its head in submission. However, the remaining 300-ton trucks, witnessing their lead vehicle being brought to its knees, chose not to halt, but rather to accelerate further. Watching the three trucks zoom past, Su Ning's sweat-drenched face reflected her frustration. 100-ton truck was already enough to cause a traffic jam. With three more, the situation would undoubtedly escalate. With a sigh, Su Ning resigned herself to the circumstances. Riding the Crimson Flame Dragon Rider to the front of the lead truck, she disembarked and dialed Lei Qiang's number, reporting that one individual had been apprehended while the other three trucks had fled. Shortly thereafter, a private car arrived at the scene, and after assessing the situation, Lei Qiang initiated a response. Several traffic police arrived, coordinating with a tow truck to transport the wreckage of the 100-ton truck off the road and swiftly clear the area to restore traffic flow. Yi Bai was present throughout the ordeal, having witnessed the destructive power of the 100-ton truck firsthand when his uncle, Xiao Yinshan, had an incident with a school bus. However, seeing it in person today was truly shocking. Such a formidable truck posed a significant threat if left unchecked. Yet, it seemed that in the presence of the Crimson Flame Dragon Rider, the 100-ton truck's standing in the realm was diminished, perhaps even threatening to lose its place among the four horsemen of the apocalypse. At that moment, with the combined effort of two traffic officers, the lead driver was pulled from the vehicle. Su Ning crouched down and asked, "What is your name? What is your ID number?" The driver, Chen Wei, looked at her and mumbled incoherently. Not willing to accept silence, Su Ning frowned and opened a police app to scan his face, revealing his identity. Chen Wei, a 42-year-old from Shaoqing. Stunned, Chen Wei stared at Su Ning as she held up her phone. "We live in an information age. If you choose not to speak, do you think I cannot uncover your personal details?" She pointed to her police badge and stated firmly, "As a driver of a 100-ton truck, if no one is manipulating you from behind, would you dare to lead a charge?" The phrase "confess for leniency, resist for harshness" is not mere rhetoric. "I didn't do anything," Chen Wei retorted impatiently. "You claim innocence? Did you not hear me shouting for you to stop?" Su Ning replied, her voice rising with anger. Chen Wei scoffed dismissively. "I didn't hear anything. How could you not stop upon seeing such a massive fire? Were you looking to run me over?" Su Ning countered sharply. In response, Chen Wei shot back, "I thought it was a speed bump. And you, a mere traffic officer, can't possibly grasp this situation. I will definitely file a complaint against you. What is your badge number? Speak." Fuming, Su Ning reluctantly revealed, I am Officer Su Ning, badge number 904321. You may file a complaint, but for now, I must legally detain you and your vehicle. Chinawei raised his hands in mock surrender, making a face. Detain me? Go ahead, I dare you. Fuming, Su Ning pulled out handcuffs and secured Chinawei's wrists. Turning to see Lei Chuyang and Yi Bai approaching, her face flushed with embarrassment. Director Lei, I couldn't pry anything from him immediately, but rest assured, I will find a way. Lei Chuyang replied calmly, it's all right. Even criminal investigators find it challenging to extract information at times. Su Ning's gaze shifted to Yi Bai, who, containing his frustration, remarked, these 100-ton truck drivers are exceedingly arrogant, brazenly breaking the law while acting as if they are justified. If you want to talk, I have a method to extract some information. Su Ning's eyes brightened. You mean Sun Jishui? Exactly. Yi Bai smiled. Acquiring information from a colleague within the industry who can be trusted should yield some insights. He promptly dialed Sun Jishui's number, explaining the situation and relaying Chinawei's name. Upon learning of the situation, Sun Jishui expressed concern. Bossy, I can provide you with the information, but please don't mention that it came from me, or I will be in serious trouble. Also, you should avoid getting the highway police involved, or you may find yourself in a predicament. Su Ning was taken aback. Is there still such a dark force at play in this day and age? Lei Chuyang sighed. Dark forces never truly vanish. They simply adopt more covert methods of operation. Especially among the owners of these transport companies, their backgrounds are often deeply entrenched, making it difficult to confront them. Yi Bai narrowed his eyes, speaking coldly, Son, if I were afraid, I wouldn't be seeking your counsel. On the other end of the line, Sun Jishui took a deep breath and said, Chinawei's boss, Zhang de Biao, nicknamed Biao Gu, has a history of hiring thugs to threaten and absorb other logistics company owners. My boss was unable to compete with Biao Gu. Hence our move to Huadu. These thugs eventually became his accomplices, coercing drivers to serve them. However, after a crackdown, they quickly shifted tactics to stage fake accidents for insurance fraud. Normally, I wouldn't know this, but he loves to boast. And our industry is rife with his social media posts. While there are no thugs anymore, the drivers under him are ruthless. They've even rushed at traffic police. Videos of them confronting officers circulated wildly in our group. Yi Bai and Su Ning were left stunned. While it sounded exaggerated, upon reflection, it seemed entirely plausible. I can only tell you this much. The police can investigate further. I must hang up now. Sun Jishui concluded. Su Ning couldn't help but exclaim. I thought the second-generation wealthy in the capital were the worst, but it seems the people here are even more treacherous. Yi Bai replied coolly. I don't care if he is Biao Gu or anyone else. Now that he is in Huadu, he must adhere to the law. Otherwise, I will ensure he becomes the one hauling bananas. After a moment of contemplation, Lei Chuyang furrowed his brow, hesitating before deciding to reveal the hidden truth. In fact, I know Zhang de Biao, and we were once high school classmates. He said hoarsely. What? Both Yi Bai and Su Ning were astonished. The head of the traffic bureau had connections with a reformed mob boss? Whether this was a case of moral decay or ethical distortion remained to be seen, dependent on Lei Chuyang's explanation. Indeed, we shared a wonderful experience. We were quite close, but after I married his childhood sweetheart, our friendship deteriorated, Lei Chuyang recounted, his throat tightening as memories surfaced. This scandal involved a sordid love triangle? Yi Bai and Su Ning were even more intrigued. Lei Chuyang sighed. Though I am reluctant to admit it, I must confess to my own selfish motives. After all, a gentleman prefers a graceful lady, and as a common man, I couldn't resist her advances. Goodness! Yi Bai exclaimed. He loves her, she loves him, but what about the other him? Having previously held the belief that brothers are like limbs, while women are like garments, and garments can be replaced, but limbs cannot, Yi Bai reflected that it was indeed a woman who had disrupted their brotherly bond. Upon learning of his wife's affection for him, Zhang de Biao had severed all ties. I never anticipated that the owner of the transport company would turn out to be him. Lei Chuyang furrowed his brow. Su Ning exclaimed angrily, Director Lei, what kind of futile and outdated thinking is this? We girls are not mere clothing, right, Yi Bai? Ah, yes. Yi Bai blinked and quickly added, but Director Lei, how can you be so certain that this Zhang de Biao is coming for revenge against you? Lei Chuyang's eyes suddenly turned cold as he replied, because I taught him this. One must be ruthless in life, whether in the underworld or the legitimate world. Without ruthlessness, one cannot stand firm. Furthermore, one must hold grudges. A gentleman may wait 10 years for revenge, but a villain should never wait overnight, lest others look down upon you and subject you to humiliation. The simple truth is that you are seen as easy to bully. Zhang de Biao was once a very weak individual. If it were not for his hatred, I cannot fathom how he became the current crime lord. Goodness. This is indeed the crux of the matter. Yi Bai inquired curiously, but Director Lei, I see you are now filled with righteousness. You hardly seem like such a person. Lei Chuyang explained, Mencius once said, I am good at nurturing my righteous spirit. Ever since I inadvertently caused my wife to become pregnant and we entered into an engagement, I have had a family to consider. As the pillar of my household, how could I not embody righteousness? Yi Bai nodded, affirming that family can indeed transform a person. This also explains why the state has always encouraged marriage. Without such encouragement, Lei Chuyang might have been led astray into the realm of older.